Hello, I'm Joseph Malazzi, creator of Dark Matter, and you are listening to Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello and welcome to Kneel Before Pod, the podcast that has been struck by a smooth criminal. I'm your host Craig, and we're here to discuss the November 2025 news, trailers, other bits and pieces. Joining me for this, I've ran out of Michael Jackson puns. It's Angus. Hello.
Hello. I just hope that you're going to sprinkle puns and references at random throughout the podcast.
I'll do my best, and if it does happen, it will be random, because I haven't planned anything. Or planned at all. Who's to say? We're almost through November, we're heading into the festive period, but we have some actually non-festive stuff to discuss because all the festive trailers were last month, because they want you to be ready for them in October and watching them in December. So November's quiet for Christmassy stuff.
There was some Christmassy sightings.
Yeah, one or two, which we'll talk about. But before we do that, let's talk a bit about what we've been watching of late. So what have you been watching?
I saw Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I don't know if that's recent all that much, but probably available on Netflix now. Saw it at the cinema.
Yes, I saw it in Film House as well.
A friend of mine was an extra in it, so was keen for us all to go and try and see him on the big screen because some of it was shot in Edinburgh.
Did he get you free tickets with his insider status?
He did not. No, I don't know if he's quite at that level in the studio system to swing that. But yeah, so we all went along to the cinema to see Frankenstein. I thought it was good. I thought it was kind of middling visually. It looked good. But afterwards we were kind of chatting about it, and it's tough because there's been so many tellings and retellings of the story, so it's not as if there's that much room for mystery or intrigue or whatever. You kind of know what you're going to get. Yes, you get the Guillermo del Toro spin on things. It was quite stylish like that. I thought some of the performances were okay. I wasn't blown away. It was a shame because I wanted to like it more, but it's kind of middle of the road, I think. Have you seen it? I
have, yeah. I saw it in the cinema. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought Oscar Isaac was great. Jacob Elordi was great. The direction was excellent. It looked amazing. So, yeah, it rounded itself out to be pretty excellent to me.
I thought Oscar Isaac was kind of hammy in it. It was kind of over the top, I felt. But maybe it was kind of melodramatic and that's what he was going for. That was just my take.
Fair enough. Anything else?
I've seen the first 3 episodes of Pluribus, the Vince Gilligan show, starring Ray Seahorn. And being a fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, this is one of the things that I would watch just out of interest following his career. And yeah, so far it's got me thinking. I don't want to say too much because it's ongoing, isn't it? Don't want to spoil anything. It's a bit like a Black Mirror or Twilight Zone type story, but stretched out over the course of a season or maybe more. And yeah, I'm kind of wondering how it's all going to play out. Again, I don't want to say too much. The premise is that people are joined consciousness, making everyone happy and ruling out any disagreements or wars or violence or crime in the world. And so, yeah, it makes you think, what would that be like? What would it be like to have a shared consciousness, to understand everything that everybody around the world knows? And it's digging into some of those topics and ideas at the moment. You deal with more of it off screen and in your own thoughts around it. Usually Vince Gilligan's pretty good at sprinkling in a lot of these big ideas. So I am wondering where it's going to go. Is this one you've seen any?
No, it's on my list of things that I want to watch, but I haven't watched it as of yet. It's something I do want to watch because a lot of people are talking about it and saying that it's very good, and the pedigree, of course, of certainly the showrunner is worth the attention. I didn't watch Better Call Saul mostly because I couldn't stand the character in Breaking Bad, so watching a show centred on him didn't appeal to me, but I really liked Breaking Bad.
It's interesting because some people thought that Better Call Saul was better than Breaking Bad. I don't know, it's tough. I could probably remember more standout moments, I think, from Breaking Bad. Yeah, Pluribus. I don't know if it's got me hooked quite yet, but there's enough of a head scratcher going on where I'm thinking, where could this go? Where will it go? I'll stick with it.
I will watch it at some point, hopefully.
Otherwise, I have played and completed Ghost of Yotei, the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, and really enjoyed it.
By completed, do you mean you've finished the story, or have you done everything, collected all the parchments or whatever?
I have done everything. I think I liked it more than the original. I was really looking forward to it because I liked the original so much and it had a lot to live up to. I think that they've tweaked tweaked some things from the original. It's an open world game, so there's obviously some elements of the old collect-a-thon and that sort of thing that you can do to 100% it. But I think that they've managed to dial it back on some of those elements and emphasize the good stuff and scale back on some of the more rote aspects of Ghost of Tsushima. There's going to be a multiplayer mode coming out, I think, early next year, which I'm really looking forward to because I like the multiplayer in Tsushima as well. I think that it was a similar sort of thing. They released the single player and then the multiplayer, but I got into the single player so late that everything was already out there, so I just had to get up to speed and work out what was going on. Yeah, there's lots still to look forward to, and I think they might have just released New Game Plus, or they were going to be releasing New Game Plus. I don't usually play much New Game Plus in games, but maybe now that I've completed Yote at this point and in anticipation of the multiplayer coming out whenever that does, maybe I'll spin up New Game Plus and get back into it.
I usually do New Game Plus if I'm enjoying a game to go through it again and be very powerful near the start of it.
Yeah, and in Tsushima they had a Kurosawa mode, which was basically putting some film grain on it, making it black and white, and you could play it like an old samurai movie. This one, they've got 3 different modes. Kurosawa is one of them, Takashi Miike is one of them, and there's another Japanese filmmaker that escapes me at the moment. So that's maybe another way of doing it as well, is keeping you coming back and trying things out. You could put it on Miike mode and then experience it from a whole different perspective.
I can't wait for the day where game developers realise that crawling all over a map to pick stuff up does not engaging gameplay make. Yes, you spun out the game length 100 hours for anybody that wanted to do it, but did they have fun while doing most of it? Probably not.
Yeah, and as I say, I think they scaled back on that. In the first one, there were banners or something like that you could collect, and it was a bit like the old feathers in Assassin's Creed. You just had to run around, climb up things and get the banner from an inaccessible place. There's a lot less of that in this one. And actually recently I played the DLC for the recent Indiana Jones game, and normally I would like to take all the photographs, find all the documents, and in this one I played through it and I was a little bit disappointed. It was quite short. The map wasn't as expansive as a lot of the other maps in the game, which is fair because it's DLC, it's not part of the main game. But yeah, it was just a bit disappointing because I was coming back to a game that I'd really enjoyed. I think if I had played the whole thing and I'd bought a version of the game that had the DLC with it, if I was only just getting into it now and I was able to access all of that content, I probably would think, okay, this is great, it's all one big package. But it was slightly disappointing coming back to something that I put 50 plus hours into and went through, collected everything, did all the collect-a-thon, and then when I came back to the DLC, I played through the story of the DLC and then thought, I don't need to go back and get all the rest of the objects and items.
Yeah, I'm not a trophy hunter at all. I have a few platinums, but they were all ones I got when playing the game normally anyway. Like in Spider-Man, for example, I got it just by playing the game and I wasn't fed up with it, so I ended up platinuming it. I also platinumed Metal Gear Solid Delta, which was a pretty easy platinum as well. I'm not a trophy hunter. I do watch trophy hunter YouTube channels and I'm like, good for you guys, but it's not for me.
Well, yeah, that's it. I'm going to stick with Pluribus and I'm on the lookout for my next game to get stuck into, although it being the run-up to the festive season, I'll get told off if I buy myself anything. Maybe I'll have to wait until Christmas.
Maybe. I've been watching no new TV, so I don't have any new TV to gush or complain about this month. So I'm going to stick with movies. I've seen a few of those. Watched a film called Relay, which was a woman played by Lily James losing her job and is threatened by her former employee because she knows too much. So she seeks the help of this fixer played by Riz Ahmed, who communicates through this relay phone system. So basically you phone this relay service and you relay the conversation back and forth. So there's this middle person saying both sides of the conversation to the other party. It keeps it anonymous and keeps it secret and so on and so on. It was a really interesting concept that the film executed pretty well mostly, but it really goes nuts towards the end and doesn't work. It's great until it isn't. And then when it isn't great, it's really not great. But the first 2/3 I was really into it. And I'm not one to diminish an entire experience because it didn't stick the landing. I was really enjoying it up to that point. And then when revelations started to happen, I was like, what the hell is this? This makes no sense. But it's a good film for the most part. It's worth watching just to see how the concept is executed, at least for most of it, 2/3 of the film. I think it's one of those where the director, writer, or whatever had an idea and wanted to play with that idea, but just didn't quite know how to see it through to a more logical conclusion.
All right.
When it comes to streaming, which is probably by now, I would recommend checking it out.
Okay.
So Shelby Oaks, have you heard of the YouTube critic Chris Stuckman?
I have not.
He's a film reviewer, or he was, on YouTube. He probably still is. But he got to direct a movie and somehow he managed to get decent financing for it. He got studio backing, a decent budget. He got Keith David in it for one scene somehow. It's competently directed. It's a horror movie, but it plays a bit like a horror greatest hits in terms of here's that technique or here's this technique, and you can see where he pulled this from and so on and so on. But it's very well crafted. He knows what he's doing. It's engaging enough. The first 20 minutes or so are basically found footage. It's centered on a woman whose sister goes missing, and she was a paranormal YouTuber. So you see the final footage that was recovered and so on, and then that feeds into the investigation, which is done in more traditional filming techniques. The story itself is a bit nonsense, but good first outing for Chris Stuckman, and well done him for starting life doing YouTube criticism and then putting his money where his mouth is in a way. I've criticised films for so long, now it's time to make one.
There's hope for you yet.
Well, we've got a bunch of Christmas movies that we need to get off the ground.
Yeah, and your long-shelved Power Rangers script.
That's it, yeah. Disney just need to let us do the Wet Bandits and to give us the rights to use those characters for a prequel. Or if we're pushed, we can just change a few of the names and details, and then people will know what it's really about.
And we'll have ourselves a Ghostbusters sequel.
No, we don't need another one of those ever again. I saw Predator Badlands, and I thought it was awesome. It's non-stop action, and the Predator as a protagonist works really well. For the first over long, maybe 20 minutes, I was wondering if somehow Dan Trachtenberg had managed to convince people to go and see a foreign language film, because it is all subtitles until Elle Fanning turns up, and then she starts speaking English. But the Predator is always subtitled, so you never have a Predator speaking English. Maybe that's a bridge too far. But the action's excellent. It's a very video gamey structure, as in, now we're going to go here and fight this thing. Now we're going to go here and fight this thing. And now we have to escape the Weyland-Yutani compound and all this. So it's very simple in the way that it's structured, but it's also very easy to follow. But the action is very well directed. If you're into the Predator lore, the Yautja, as they're known, the species, then there's loads of that in there. There's Weyland-Yutani set in the same universe as Alien, although it doesn't do anything with it. It's just Weyland-Yutani are there. You could replace it with anything, but it's a nice little nod just to have the two things in there.
Sometimes it's good just to have that nod instead of going overboard, just to know that it's there. It helps you build this shared universe.
Yeah, and Elle Fanning's an android, so there's another nod to that franchise. Very good. I would absolutely recommend it. It's a blast. And
it's rated 12A or PG-13, right? Did you feel the effect of that?
It is incredibly violent, but it's a technicality because none of the blood is red. There are no human characters in the movie.
Okay, so for anyone worrying about the rating, they don't need to.
You might still be grossed out by it, though, because it really is a technicality, because it is incredibly violent, but because he's ripping the guts out of fake creatures, I guess that's okay. I also saw Now You See Me, Now You Don't, the third in the Now You See Me franchise that trilogizes it 9 years after the second one.
It has the title of the film that they should have given to number 2.
Yeah, and this one should have been Now You Three Me. If you enjoy these films, then you'll probably get a lot out of this. I think it's the worst of the three, although Rotten Tomatoes disagrees with me. It has the best rating on there of the three. I think all three of these films are really stupid, but they're kind of fun in places, and this is a bit of the same, although it's less fun than the others. The young cast don't get as much time to shine as they should. It's in the trend of the passing the torch movie, where it's actually we'll keep the torch. Rosamund Pike, she was really good with her South African accent as a villain of sorts. You'll know what to expect if you've seen the other two, and this is more of the same, but not as good because it's the diminishing returns thing. I mean, they gave up on the first one, but they've completely given up on any kind of plausibility to the magic.
I have seen the other two and enjoyed them for what they were. Nothing was going to blow you away, but if you wanted a kind of fun heist movie, then they do what they set out to, I think.
Yeah, I saw The Running Man, the Glenn Powell not remake of the Arnold classic. Just like with Relay, it's really good until the third act and then it falls off a cliff. The third act, I just wasn't willing to buy into what it was doing and went a bit too far. It does have some interesting commentary on the class divide and taking joy in suffering, and the send-ups of reality TV are really good, and anger being directed in the wrong direction and how society's trying to screw us and all this stuff. All great commentary. And then the third act is, what's going on here? You've gone a bit off the rails here. Glenn Powell's excellent. He's very much making up for lost time of that leading man career he didn't have when he was in his 20s. There was too many handsome leading men when he was in his 20s, so he didn't get to do it. And now he's in his 30s and getting to do it. He's 1 year younger than me.
Well, I'm sure he's not that bothered now that he seems to be in everything.
It's until he hits his mid-40s and he's unemployable.
No, that's just female actors.
No, it happens to men as well, in particular genres.
Mm-hmm.
What you'll see in the next couple of years is he'll set up his own production company so he can start making his own jobs.
Yeah, or he needs to have that slight gap. Then he comes back as the older guy, or a guy who's let himself go a bit. One last rodeo sort of thing.
The Josh Hartnett approach.
Yeah.
But it's definitely watchable. And it doesn't fall into the trap of it's our Arnie remake, because it's more based on the book than it is on the original film, which I didn't feel with Total Recall, the Colin Farrell one, because that was not really based on the book any more than the Arnie one was. It was just a less interesting version of the Arnie one without Mars.
Yeah, which just begs the question, why?
Yeah. So The Running Man is better. Although I think they should stay away from remaking Arnie stuff. Unless it's Conan, which there's plenty of source material to adapt in different ways.
Or unless it stars Patrick Schwarzenegger.
He's nowhere near as charismatic as his dad.
No, but he does resemble him. Not in exactly the same way, but facially I think it's kind of spooky sometimes.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the voice.
But he can probably do the voice. He must be able to do the voice.
He grew up imitating his dad.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if he just doesn't really talk like that when he's at home. He just has a very flat accent.
It was all just to create a unique selling point.
It's like Sean Connery. He never talked like that, really, did he? Like he did in films.
No, all an act.
Arnie remakes, what are we going to get next? Well, these kind of forgettable 90s Arnie movies. Something like Last Action Hero, maybe, which doesn't work without Arnie because you don't have that equivalent.
Yeah, how would they spin it?
Yeah, it's difficult. People talk about it, we don't have stars in the same way, and Arnie is definitely one of them. Although we do have, we've talked about in previous ones, a couple of Stallone successors. We've got the Rambo prequel that has cast someone as Rambo, and then there's that biopic about making Rocky, where you've got someone playing Stallone. So we have two movies where someone is playing either a Stallone character or Stallone himself coming out in the next year or so.
There's still a rich vein to be mined.
There always is. We'll do that cliffhanger remake and things like that. But anyway, that's all I've really been watching. Feels like I've done nothing in the last month. I have done stuff, honest, but it's not been much in the way of new stuff. I've done some rewatches or some comfort watches, but nothing really worth talking about as such.
Could there be something coming up that you'd be interested in watching?
Perhaps. But before we get into that, let's plug ourselves. So what have you been up to that you would like to plug to the fine listeners?
Oh no. Plugs.
It's in the agenda every time and you're acting surprised.
Because I always feel like I don't have anything to plug. I, at the beginning of the year, planned to be making more music, and I have a couple of samples and various bits of tracks that I've been trying to put together, and nothing has come of it. So I'm desperately thinking, okay, we're almost at the end of November. What if I just put in a couple of good weeks of December, and then the EP will be done? Unfortunately, none of that has come to pass, so I can't even plug that. I have a SoundCloud, but it doesn't have any new stuff on it, unfortunately.
But you can go to it and listen to the old stuff.
You can, yeah. The old stuff's always good. And then you can say, I prefer the old stuff.
Yeah, the old stuff of a year ago or whatever it was.
Oh, longer, unfortunately. It was a COVID hobby. Lockdown.
Lockdown hobbies.
Yeah.
They're like Christmas poppies, aren't they? They're fun for a couple of days and then you just want to flush them down the toilet. Anyway, on that dark note, I have a couple of things to plug outside of Kneel Before Pod, which you're currently listening to. You can listen to more of that if you want. There's loads of it. There's over 300 regular format episodes and over 100 other non-regular format episodes. So listen to those. Loads of them. I've been over on the Film Stories Podcast Network, selling my wares for no money, appearing on shows talking about things. I was on Of This Parish, Bo Nicholson's podcast. He wasn't on that episode though. Movieversaries, so it's films that have a significant anniversary, multiples of 10. So any film that came out with a year ending in 5 was fair game for this year. I got to be on there to discuss the 1995 Power Rangers movie. I had a blast. It was Superfan Violet hosting, along with Ian Buckley, so we had a great time discussing the 95 Power Rangers movie. It should be out by the time this is out, so you can have a listen to it and hopefully enjoy hearing me gush about Power Rangers. Bo was reluctant to have that on his feed, have it sully his perfect curation of the films of any given year, but I pointed out to him that he won't be laughing when it's his most downloaded episode ever.
Well, indeed.
For some inexplicable reason.
We know that it's inexplicably popular.
No one will ever tell you why it's been downloaded so much, but it is.
Maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point because we allude to it every now and again, and maybe the algorithms are picking it up and just saying, well, this is their most popular, and then just pushing it out.
But the Time Travel podcast gets referred to easily as much, and that doesn't happen with that. We seem to have carved ourselves into some weird Power Rangers niche with no vocal support.
Well, if you're out there listening to our Power Rangers pod, enjoy, keep going.
Tell us why.
Tell us why. Maybe someday we'll do a sequel.
Yes, I'm sure we can convince Natalie to watch 10 more episodes of Power Rangers.
I am not as sure of that.
Who knows what will happen. I was also on another Film Stories podcast network show called At the Movies in the Noughties, which talks about movies that were released between the years 2000 and 2009. I was on discussing School of Rock, the Jack Black movie where he plays Jack Black. He invades a prep school and forms a band out of the talented students there.
Abducts a bunch of kids.
Yeah. Part of the discussion was you wouldn't get away with making that now because he just wouldn't get in the school in the first place. That's the biggest part that strains credibility. Just about believable in 2003. Definitely not now. Excellent film. I can't fault it in any way, and had a great discussion about that. That will be out by the time you listen to this as well, so have a listen and hear me gush about a favourite of mine from way back, 2003, a more innocent time.
Certainly was.
Where I didn't have bills or responsibilities in the same way.
No.
I want to go back to that, but it's not happening.
And now we're back to the time travel pod.
We are, always back to time travel. So in terms of plugs, that's everything for me, although there will be some stuff coming up for Neil Before Pod. We have a discussion coming up. It might be out by the time you listen to this, depends how efficient I am, but Bo hosted an episode where Isaac and I discussed Batman Forever for him. It's a pseudo crossover with Movieversaries because that's 30 years old this year. Just to make you feel old, Batman Forever is 30 years old.
I fondly remember receiving the VHS for Christmas one year.
Yeah, I talked about how I ran that VHS into the ground back in the day. Back in the days where you watched a VHS copy of a movie 4 times a week or whatever.
Yeah, it's the meme of the millennial who's obsessed with a mid-film just because their family owned it on tape. So you're able to just watch it over and over again.
So you'll be able to listen to that. That's Isaac's number one want for the podcast to discuss Batman Forever, and we did it. So hopefully he's got that out of his system now.
He's achieved his dream.
He has. He can just lie down and sleep for eternity now. We will have our Christmas special where we'll be going back into the writer's room, and Chris to Christmas will be coming up with a concept this year. And hopefully your alter ego that wants the money will come back to keep us on financial track.
Yeah, I'm sure he can be coaxed out of the boardroom and may make an appearance later on this pod. Who knows?
Because we need those studio notes. We need to know what the executive that doesn't watch movies wants out of our movie.
I'm always happy to play that part on a movie pod.
That'll be coming up in December at some point. Again, depending on how efficient I am. A few things coming up for Neil Before Pod in the coming weeks, days, months, years. Who knows how long it'll take me. I'm a slow editor. Let's get on to trailers. We have a bunch of stuff. Let's start off a bit light. Start off light and maybe get a bit heavier as we go. So let's start with the trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's very much a teaser. Speaking of Jack Black, we start with Tiny Bowser painting some very angry paintings aimed at Mario, the man who shrunk him and imprisoned him. It's basically Super Mario Galaxy, the game, but as a movie. If you're into that, then great. Have you seen the Mario movie?
I haven't. I've heard lots of good things about it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I feel like it's completely passed me by. It's there. I could always go and watch it, but that's true of lots of things I'm yet to get round to seeing. I haven't played Super Mario Galaxy, but I think that visually it looks good. But yeah, because I feel a bit checked out on the Mario movies, other than being eye-catching, it's not catching my interest.
You're not into Chris Pratt as Mario?
Well, I remember all the discussion to be charitable or arguments to be realistic about why Chris Pratt was depicting Mario. I haven't seen the film. It was very successful, so obviously it didn't have that much of an impact, or maybe it had the right kind of impact that guys like my studio alter ego were into.
Basically, your target audience don't care who Chris Pratt is. They don't know who he is. They're just watching Mario.
Right.
That's all it needs to be. There's a couple of bits of casting that were recently announced as well. You have Brie Larson as Princess Rosalina, who's Princess Peach but in space, basically. And Benny Safdie will be voicing Bowser Jr., both of which are in the trailer. Brie Larson doesn't say anything in the trailer, so you don't get to hear what Rosalina sounds like, but I'm going to guess that she sounds a bit like Brie Larson.
I would imagine so, yeah.
As you can imagine, people are reacting normally to that announcement because it's Brie Larson.
Of course, yes.
Again, target audience don't care. They don't know who she is. You could tell them she's Captain Marvel and they might care, but probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Depends how young they are. So in this film, we'll have 2 kick-ass princesses because we have Peach and we have Rosalina. So they'll both be kicking ass, I would imagine. You see Rosalina kick ass in this one where she gets all the stars surrounding that big robot thing and crushes it.
I'm not familiar with Rosalina. Does she have a romantic interest? I'm not asking for myself. I'm talking about in the world of Mario games and movies.
Whispering in my ear, hey, what's Rosalina's deal? Is she seeing anyone?
Do you have her number?
She just tells you things in the game, basically. You speak to her and she'll be like, try going here now, Mario. You have 57 stars or whatever. That's the function she performs in the first Super Mario Galaxy anyway.
So she's not into Luigi or anything?
No. But the games are very light on plot.
Yeah.
Mario is trying to save Princess Peach for some reason, because I guess that's what plumbers do.
I mean, that's what I've been led to believe, and for as long as I've known about Mario, that's been my understanding of the plumbing profession.
Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle.
Natural enemies of turtles and whatever Bowser is supposed to be.
Goombas.
Goombas, yes, Mushroom Men.
We should have Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong back in this one as well. He was in the last one.
He was in it, and he's going to be back.
I imagine they're planning a Donkey Kong spin-off at some point as well.
They must be. There's enough characters there that, again, from the games probably don't have that much backstory or personality, but you can just say, right, here you go, Donkey, Diddy, the other one.
Cranky was another one.
The old one, yeah, was that him?
Cranky Kong, yeah. I remember there was an animated series of Donkey Kong way back. It was one of the early CGI animation ones, so it didn't look great, but I was 7 or something, so didn't care. So there was quite a rich mythology, but there was also a Mario cartoon back in the early 90s.
Yes.
Super Mario Brothers Super Show, I believe it was called. And it had all the power-ups and so on.
Donkey Kong is my main in Mario Kart, and when I say my main, I haven't played a Mario Kart for any great length of time since 64, and I mainly played him in the SNES version, Super Mario Kart, and then Mario Kart 64. And so again, a lot of this has passed me by, all these double dashes and whatever, Mario Kart World and all this kind of stuff that exists now. And so that's my connection to Donkey Kong. I had one of the games at least on Game Boy, and I remember playing the SNES version, and to be honest, I never really liked the way that those games looked. There was something about the way that the character models moved about on the screen. I preferred the cleaner, crisper Sonic or Mario approach, where it seemed like they were actually walking on a surface rather than kind of blending into it. And despite that, I just have an affinity for Donkey Kong because he was my favourite racer back then.
There was also Diddy Kong Racing on the N64.
Yeah, never played it.
Which, to this day, is one of the most difficult games I've ever played. That was the thing about a lot of these kid games, they were punishing.
Yeah.
I'll definitely see this. I did enjoy the first one. I should rewatch it at some point in preparation for all the intricate plot details that I've forgotten about.
I think that's maybe the thing that puts me off, well, doesn't engage me to begin with, where I think, what could I possibly see in a Mario movie that would surprise me or that I couldn't work out was going to happen by the end of it?
Yeah, but you might have fun along the way. Or you might be drawn into the nostalgia of, oh, look, there's a mushroom or the Tanuki suit or whatever else. They throw a lot in. They go down the Rainbow Road and they throw in as many references to stuff as you can cram in.
I do like references.
Well, your studio alter ego will love them too because nostalgia is king.
Yeah, well, if we're paying for this IP, then we're going to wring every last dollar out of it.
Anyway, let's move on. We have Toy Story 5 when there should only be 3. For some reason, there's 3, and then there's 2 more. I didn't think 4 was that bad, but I also don't feel like it was necessary. Watching this teaser, I very much had a vibe of, here we go again. Have you seen Toy Story 4?
That's the one with the fork, right? Or the spoon. Is it a spoon or a fork?
The spork.
Spork. It's both. Yeah, I think I have seen that.
At the end of that movie, Woody decides to become a lost toy and leave the gang to go pursue his own interests. And in this one, he's just back, it seems.
Yeah, towards the end of this, you can see what they're going for with the advent of the tablet.
Kids don't play with toys anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. But I feel as if that message is kind of past it at this point. We're already several years into every kid you see out in the world being glued to a screen. So this might have been relevant a couple of years ago, but maybe it's because we're all part of that original Toy Story generation. I am child-free, but I would imagine that if you're someone of around our age, or slightly younger probably, with young kids, you'd be like, okay, this is nostalgic for me, and also my kids get to enjoy something that I grew up watching. So I can see the appeal there. But as I say, I thought that the screen, the tablet, that message is maybe a couple of years past its sell-by date.
Do you think the tablet will be sentient in the way that the toys are?
Maybe not the tablet itself, but they might turn it on and then interact with whatever games are on there. They might talk to the characters and things that appear on it.
The Etch-a-Sketch was sentient in the first movie, second movie, and I guess the third movie.
Well, I mean, if we're going to maintain continuity, then the tablet itself should be all singing, all dancing.
Until it runs out of battery and then it's just useless.
Yeah, and then they can be like, look, we can still be played with and you're just a lump.
You're just a paperweight.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll have a somewhat repeat of the first movie where Woody gets very jealous and then just throws the tablet off the bed and then the screen cracks.
Yeah. So do you have any faith in the Toy Story team to be able to deliver something, or are we past that tipping point?
I think it'll be good, but I don't think it'll have the same magic that the original trilogy have. When Toy Story 3 happened, I was quite happy with the Pixar shorts they were making that they put in front of other Pixar movies. So that was good to, what's the Toy Story gang like when Bonnie's their owner? And it's fine, we'll go to legally distinct McDonald's and we'll have the Buzz Lightyear Happy Meal toy and things like that. That was enough for me, but then we're getting feature-length movies again. You know why, because these sequels do make money. I mean, Inside Out 2 made billions. So this will probably do the same because it just has that recognition. It's one of Pixar's tentpoles, and maybe they just need to make a Toy Story every few years in order to fund the original stuff that they're still making, in which case you can see it as a bit of a necessary evil, I guess. But I just feel like the first three are perfect, and then the fourth one is fine, and then this one it just seems like we're doing this again, but there's a tablet now.
Kind of the Star Wars model.
Yeah, kind of. But I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, I think it will be. And it's the old discussion we have over and over again about the originals exist and you can go back and enjoy them anytime, and however many more they make shouldn't really detract from that.
I lament the eventual live-action remake.
Oh, God. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Where they hire actors to essentially be legs for most of the film because it's from the toys' perspective. Speaking of live-action remakes and cash grabs, we have Moana. It's Moana, but in live action. I'll say some good things before we tear it apart. The lead actress, she has a good singing voice, and it does look very visually impressive. A lot of these live-action remakes, they look a bit flat and bland. I don't think that's the case here. I think that at least some effort has been put into the visual fidelity, but it's also, like a lot of these, shot for shot with the animated one. The animated one isn't even that old.
No, and this is where I don my tie and cufflinks and I emerge with my spreadsheet and say, this is amazing. Print money, the spreadsheet, the algorithm says yes, absolutely.
What do you say about the fact that some of these live-action remakes aren't making all that much money?
Try harder. I've got a theory. This is the shortest gap between the original animated film and its live-action remake. It's less than 10 years, and I think that what we need to be doing is even faster. So we crank out an animated, and basically it's Lord of the Rings style, make the live action at the same time, and then boom, you've got just constant content coming out.
Do you think in 20 years we'll get animated remakes of the live-action remake?
Why not? Just keep the cycle going. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. There have been several of the live-action remakes where a lot of it has to be animated. The Lion King, basically.
The Lion King is not live-action. It's a different kind of animation.
Yeah. So anywhere you've got animal characters or creatures and things, and that's what I was thinking about this one, is that, okay, you've got human characters in it, but how much of this is going to have to be basically just animated anyway?
You'll have The Rock in a muscle suit. That's a practical thing. At least there's a person. They might have some real boats.
Yeah, and then a whole lot of coconuts, live action coconut people.
Real coconuts.
And then whatever undersea creatures and things that were in the original.
Have you seen Moana?
Yes.
I was going to ask if you hadn't seen it. Would this be the first experience of Moana that you'd want to see? Or would it be, I've got Moana at home. I don't have to spend a living quid watching this.
I've seen it and it's pretty good. It's got some catchy songs.
It's very good. Moana 2, not good.
Moana 2, haven't seen. I can't remember when that came out, but that's what I'm talking about. We should be getting on the live action Moana 2 tomorrow, if not earlier.
Moana 2 was this time last year because I saw it when I was in New York.
Right, well then, good. We're on schedule. Let's get that made.
That went out by February.
Yeah.
Even though this one comes out in June or something. I want the live-action Moana 2 in theatres before the live-action Moana 1.
Ideally, yes. We can market the next one as the prequel to Moana 2.
God, wouldn't that be a horrible world to live in? That world we almost already live in.
Yeah, it's within touching distance. I can just smell the money.
Well, I hope you enjoy your money. I'll be over here with my art. Cold and hungry, but morally superior in some way.
Well, I don't know. We're coming up for Christmas time, and it's usually that sort of time where this character has to learn an Ebenezer Scrooge type lesson.
Yeah, but all he learns is, great, we've made another successful Christmas script that can be made into something.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame about that pattern that we're into now. I never learn my lesson come Christmas.
You just double down on the way you were before.
Yeah, one of these years.
You need to spend some time in a remote small town and be away from your phone for a few days, and then suddenly you'll learn the true meaning of life. Or maybe you need to see what the world would be like if you were never born.
Yeah, that can teach a man a lesson.
It's a bit of a risk, though, because what if you're going around looking at all these things like, everything seems so much better when I'm not here?
Yeah, everyone's so happy. It's a risk, yeah, but characters like me have to go through these sorts of things.
Turns out if you were never born, everyone would be so much better off. Now, that would be an alternate Christmas message.
If everyone else is going to be happier, then fair enough.
You make the ultimate sacrifice. You choose not to exist to make everybody else happier.
It's not where I expected this podcast to go, but,
Yeah, you roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So, live action Moana, will you be rushing to see it?
No, but then because I work for the studio, I wouldn't be spending money. I wouldn't be generating money anyway, so it's fine. I don't need to see it. I just need to know that the numbers keep going up.
Keep knowing that the Benjamins come in.
Yes.
I will see this, but I won't like it.
See it as many times as you like. In fact, see it as many times as you can, because we're encouraging repeat viewing.
What if I get a ticket for another more artistic film and sneak into Moana?
You will be going straight to movie jail, I'm afraid.
Good. I would be there righteously. I would just sneak in a bottle of ketchup so I can lie on the floor and burst it open so that the guard thinks I'm dead and then I'll escape. Metal Gear Solid style. Let's move on to Marty Supreme. We have Timothy Chalamet as a table tennis prodigy. It's not some kind of dessert. The second Safdie mention for this podcast, Josh Safdie, is making this one. My major thought is it looks pretty standard as far as biopics go. I feel like all these trailers are pretty much the same for biopic movies,
Yes.
and then the movies are largely the same. It does pose the eternal question, can table tennis be made to look exciting?
Well, if you remember back to 2007, a little film called Balls of Fury, I think you'll find the answer is yes.
I have not seen that.
I think that came out when I was working at the cinema, and it was around that sort of time where they were doing all kinds of sports comedies. So it was mainly Will Ferrell was the culprit for this. There was the basketball one, there was the NASCAR one, Dodgeball, of course. I think they probably all came following Dodgeball.
Dodgeball was 2004 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was prime sports comedy time. And here we're back to another rip-roaring sports comedy. And of course the trailer gets points for having a remixed 80s pop song in it.
I'm not sure this is meant to be a comedy. I think it's just a biopic.
I was being facetious.
Okay. Maybe you found it hilarious. I don't know. I'm not here to judge, except the movies.
I don't know anything about Marty, but I found the tone of the trailer, maybe not the tone, I didn't really know what to expect here because it starts out table tennis and then it ends up explosions and action. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I don't know what's going on.
I can't say I'm all that interested in it. Like I say, all these biopic trailers look the same. Similar beats. Is the guy that interesting? I found that with, discussed it before, but the Smashing Machine, The Rock,
Oh, yeah.
playing that MMA guy. Either they didn't present it in an interesting way or the guy just wasn't that interesting. Either way, it was pretty meh. Although The Rock was very good when he had a go at acting, but there was a point in the movie where he shaves his head and then I stopped believing he was the character because he just looked like The Rock again. So you put The Rock in a wig and suddenly I'm on board, apparently, is what's going on here.
All right, we're back to Moana.
Timothy Chalamet is everywhere and he's here.
Yes.
So I guess Tom Holland was busy.
Do you think that's the order? Is that the way round it goes? We call Holland and then if he's not available, get Chalamet on the line.
I think they just phone them both at once and then see who picks up first.
Got it, yeah. That's probably how it works.
I did have a theory that there was a list of leading men that they went down and there was kind of a pecking order and then eventually you get down to Liam Hemsworth. That's your guy. Chris Hemsworth is way above him somewhere, and when he said no, you go through another bunch of people and eventually you get to Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, we need a Hemsworth type, but we'll go through so many other people before we get to another Hemsworth.
Yeah. Luke Hemsworth is so far down the list, they're just never getting there. Someone will say yes before they get to that point. But I do cynically think that there's a lot of that going on in Hollywood. I don't think Timothy Chalamet is that good, to be honest, and he seems to be in a lot of stuff, so God knows what's going on there. Is it just that teenage girls like him?
Maybe, but you said earlier we don't have stars in the same way as we did back with Arnie and these kind of action heroes, but maybe it's a different sort of star. Like you've just said, the same people are in all the films.
Prefer the days of heroes like Arnie than Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Arnie could play a table tennis prodigy, I suppose. Although maybe it'd be the best table tennis movie ever.
And the types of films that they were making, these action heroes, maybe they were 10 a penny for a while, but maybe because you don't get them now, we've got that kind of longing for a time where you'd just be getting all this kind of bombastic stuff.
Yeah. I guess in terms of will I see this, it's more on a, if it's a quiet weekend, I'm doing nothing else, sure. But I'm not going to rush to see it.
If it's on between two other films that you want to see at the cinema.
Exactly. Or if it's on right after one that I want to see. and then I can make the choice on the day of, will I watch this or go home? And it might be I'll watch this.
There you go, ringing endorsement.
It's been so long since I did a triple bill at the cinema. There's usually not enough out in a given week for me to want to do that, or usually the times are so awful that I can't line them up in the way that I used to be able to. Times are changing and not for the better. We'll stick with biopics next. We'll talk about Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic. There's some weird stuff about this. So you have Jafar Jackson, who's obviously related to, maybe not obviously, but he's related to Michael Jackson playing the lead role. There was some news around how Lionsgate was considering splitting the movie in two. It was first outlined in a report in January. The outlet noted that the film's third act apparently needed reworking, as it depicted a Jackson accuser who previously was guaranteed that he would never be featured in a dramatised version per a past settlement with the Jackson estates. So the suggestion is that it's only one film now and that it doesn't have an ending, because they've had to avoid all this controversy. And Michael Jackson, as much as he was a musical legend, is also a highly controversial figure. Even before the accusation stuff, he was just kind of weird, dangling children out of bedroom windows and stuff like that over balconies and all the other strange stuff he got up to. I feel like this will just be more fiction than fact. It'll be a bit like Bohemian Rhapsody in that way, where in that movie the surviving members of Queen were consultants. So it was, Freddie was out of control. He was bringing the band down. And let's not mention that Brian May released solo music before Freddie Mercury did. We're not bringing that up at all. He was the one that tore the band apart. So I feel like we're going to get something similar here, where it's just, look how great a performer he was. Here's some of the dance moves. Here's a remake of the Thriller video in the cinema. And let's not talk about any of the actual stuff that he did.
Yeah, I have a similar feeling. You mentioned Bohemian Rhapsody. I also think Rocket Man was a bit like that, where Elton John was a producer on it. I enjoyed the film. I like the songs, and it's an interesting story about an interesting life.
But Rocket Man was a bit more self-deprecating.
A bit, but you could also see how when the subject is involved in the production, they're obviously going to steer things a bit in the direction that they want to take it, and it's never going to go too far. Okay, it did acknowledge his issues with drugs and all this kind of stuff, but you always know you're getting the subject's side of the story to an extent. And I imagine, as you say, I think that this will be very much like that. And I think Michael Jackson had a fascinating life, plenty of material in there. As you say, towards the end, it was probably quite controversial, or there's lots of strange, maybe even towards the beginning as well. There's all the theories about how his childhood was and how much of an impact that had on him and how it ended up. And then I was thinking that with all of the music biopics, there's that trend and it's who's going to be next. I was wondering why it had taken so long to get around to Michael Jackson, with the exception of those controversial topics. But you saying about the lawsuit and the rulings and things makes it more obvious why this has taken a while. I'm a big fan. Like, I really like his music, and I think it's one of those, as you said, about how the film's probably going to be presented. It's going to live in that sort of compartmentalization of him as the king of pop, and that's where it will end. You'll get all of the amazing performances, the incredible music, maybe a touch onto the darker side of things, but I imagine it will end there. And so it'll attempt to be more of that kind of celebration.
Am I that interested? Not really. I'm not hugely into Michael Jackson, though. I'll end up seeing it anyway, just to see if it does have an ending.
I have no feel at the moment for whether or not this is going to be massive or nothing. I feel like it could be massive because he is massive, and the music is that good that it's a bit like a Bohemian Rhapsody or a Rocket Man, as we've said, that even if the film, the product, doesn't live up to the career and the music, because it features that, then that elevates it and it sticks with people and wins awards. Yeah, I can see this doing really well.
Get a jukebox musical and have all the music numbers in there, and then people forget about the actual quality of the movie.
Exactly.
I think a good example of a jukebox biopic musical was the Robbie Williams one, where he was a chimp. I think that was actually very good.
Yeah, I never saw it.
I still don't understand why he had to be a chimp, but we'll never know. So, do you want to see half a Michael Jackson movie where they'll never make the second one? We'll see what happens with it when it comes out. Move on to 100 Nights of Hero. The premise of this is a neglectful husband leaves his wife alone for 100 days to test her fidelity, and she becomes tangled in a love triangle. You have a good cast here. You have Micah Monroe, Felicity Jones, Emma Corrin, Nicholas Gallatin, or future He-Man. He's sporting a bit of the He-Man physique in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're getting a taste of how he's bulked up for He-Man in this. I'm quite interested in the time period. It promotes this idea of chastity, but with lots of temptation. It seems like it's going to be quite a horny movie, if you're into that sort of thing. I'm interested in what this might end up being, because it does seem very tense.
Yeah, I believe it's based on a graphic novel.
Yes, it is.
It's got queer themes. It's about two women defying a patriarchal empire and world that they live in. It looks stylish. Yeah, it's kind of fairy tale-esque. I don't know if it's targeted directly at me. It definitely looked interesting, but I wasn't overly sold. But yeah, I'm keen to hear more about this.
And you could just watch it to get a sense of how Nicholas Ballantine will look as He-Man. Though there'll probably be a trailer by the time this comes out, so maybe you don't need to.
It's the equivalent of going to see Meet Joe Black just to watch the Phantom Menace trailer.
And then leaving after the trailer.
Yeah, all right, I've seen what he's going to look like.
You get up to Nicholas Ballantine's first appearance, which is 5 minutes into the film, then you're just gone. Never come back.
He-Man, and then just storm out.
You're not even there for long enough for people to get annoyed at your random outburst in the cinema, because you're just gone after that.
All right, plan made.
Yeah, there we go. Next up, we have The Testament of Anne Lee, which is a historical drama musical about the leader of the Shakers religious sect. What is the Shakers religious sect, I hear you ask? Well, I did some research, because I'm good at my job this month. The Shakers practice a celibate and communal utopian lifestyle, pacifism, uniform charismatic worship, and their model of equality of the sexes, which they institutionalized in their society in the 1780s. They are also known for their simple living, architecture, technological innovation, music and furniture. Women took on spiritual leadership roles alongside men, including founding leaders such as Jane Wardley, Anne Lee and Lucy Wright. So this film is about the leader of the Shakers, Anne Lee. Amanda Seyfried in the lead role. We know she can sing, so good choice for a musical. Will the songs be good? I don't know. But it seems like it's another film about chastity and temptation, a bit like the last one. So the grouping here was quite fortuitous on my part, considering I did it before I even watched the trailers.
Oh yeah, I thought this was specifically the women in bonnets section of the podcast.
No, it just happened to be that way.
Amanda Seyfried seems like she's doing a Yorkshire accent. I don't know anything about Anne Lee, but it was kind of a Northern English accent, which I found quite interesting.
All Americans in the 1780s would have had English accents, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't know if Anne Lee is from that part of the world, I mean England, or would have had that specific accent. But anyway, you could probably get away with just doing an old English-sounding voice. It was giving me almost Midsommar cult-like vibes, which is probably right for a religious sect. I didn't realise it was a musical, but obviously there's quite a lot of dancing and not frolicking.
Well, perhaps some frolicking.
Frolicking, maybe, yeah.
Perhaps the desire to frolic, but we can't do it.
The repressed, frolicking desire.
That's it. It looks interesting. I wonder if the songs will be any good, because that's what makes or breaks a musical.
Indeed. We seem to be kind of swinging between trailers, not one then the other, but some of these trailers often tell you everything that's going to happen, and then sometimes you just get more of a feeling. I feel like the last couple are a bit like that, where it's enough to try and hook you, just to try and draw you in. And if you're interested, then maybe you'll head along and give it a go.
Let's stay on Amanda Seyfried. We have The Housemaid. She seems pretty terrifying in this one. This is Sydney Sweeney goes to work for a woman and her husband, and some weird, creepy stuff goes on. And Sydney Sweeney herself may be weird and creepy. It looks very uncomfortable and tense again, and there could be a core mystery here that might be quite interesting. But I'm keen for this. It seems weird to be releasing it 3 days before Christmas, but cool, I guess. If you want to take a break from festive cheer and watch this just before Christmas, then go for it.
My very basic research tells me that this is based on a book.
Is?
So there might be lots of fans that are looking forward to this. It features more of the rise and rise of Sydney Sweeney, who seems to be another actor who's everywhere and seems to be in almost everything.
Not talk about the internet conversation around her at the moment, because I do not have time for any of that. I think it's all stupid.
Yeah, we can ignore that. Paul Feig, I've seen A Simple Favour. I didn't realise that there was another Simple Favour, which apparently is this year, or was already out this year.
It's a strange year for the 10-year delayed sequels. You have Now You Three Me almost, and there's The Accountant 2 as well. All these sequels that people were bursting for. The
kind of lifestyle porn or house porn, the look of this kind of reminded me of that. Less the sort of black comedy of A Simple Favour, but the gloss of the presentation was there. But yeah, you're right, it looks creepy, it looks weird. And yeah, you're right, if you want a break from the saccharine Christmas movies, then this could be for you.
Could be. I think there'll be good performances in here. It looks like the two leading ladies are really knocking it out of the park in terms of creeping everybody out or whatever else. Amanda Seyfried with those giant eyes. Doesn't take much for her to creep people out.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Scream 7, the seventh film in the Scream franchise, hence the name. The tainted Scream 7, because it lost two of its main cast for different reasons, or the same reason, depending on who you ask. This one, they decided not to shortchange the lead of the original movie and brought her back. And it's more of the same. The thing that struck me the most in this is that Sydney's daughter is a teenager now. Wasn't she like a baby in the last one?
Yes.
Or the last one she was in?
Yeah, we get to the real reason why I'm on this podcast, I suppose, because otherwise I presume I would have been dialing in for somebody else's news pod.
Perhaps. It's one of those things where the stars aligned.
Okay, fair enough.
No threatening phone calls for me tonight. That's good.
I think we've spoken a bit in the past about the behind-the-scenes drama. I haven't been following it, and beyond those brief conversations, I'd completely forgotten about it, actually, almost.
The drama is sort of dissipated. It's more the reasons the two actresses left were a while ago and nobody has walked it back. So whatever was said and done has stuck.
Yeah, and I think if we weren't dealing with Scream 7 and this was a flourishing new franchise that was promising and whatever else, then that might be worse for it, a bit more of a death knell. But obviously, we are where we are. And if they could just siphon the money towards Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, things will probably work out for them because no one really is like, it's make or break if Melissa Barrera's in it. This looks ridiculous and is ridiculous.
It looks bad.
Yeah, but I'm in. I'm in. I had a smile on my face when I saw this. And there's enough Easter eggs, there's enough references. We already know I love a reference. And I think for me, it's win-win. I'm not invested in any of the drama, so I don't really mind about who's in the right or wrong. I know who I think is in the right on some of those issues. But I mean, for the purposes of making this film, my expectations are low because I liked 5 a lot. Thought 6 was a bit of a disappointment after that. Well, actually, it was a disappointment after that. So now I am primed to be swept away all over again. If it manages to deliver anything, I think I'll just be pleased because it is what it is now. It's the 7th installment. What can you possibly expect?
It seems like your Scream movie journey is a bit like a game of play your cards right. So Scream 5 would be the highest card, and then Scream 6 is a lower card. So you have a higher chance of getting a higher card for the next one.
Exactly. That is a perfect analogy.
Where the hell did that come from? But there we go. I don't know how ubiquitous Play Your Cards Right is as a game show.
I think it was fairly well travelled in different versions around the globe.
It's got to be simple enough that you can repeat it in every language in every country.
Yeah.
On daytime television.
So you think this looks ridiculous and presumably you don't care one iota about it?
I'm not a Scream head. I've seen all the movies. I actually think I only could say I've seen all of the movies before Scream 5 came out because I did a rewatch. I'd definitely never seen 4 and had no memory for 3. So I've watched them all and then Scream 5 came out and I really liked Scream 5 for the most part. Scream 6 was fine. I've forgotten all of it pretty much. And now we've got Scream 7, which almost feels like a reboot again because you've excised the elements that made Scream 5 and 6 what they were. Mm-hmm. The guy's still in it, isn't he? The young guy.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of characters who are featured briefly in this trailer that were introduced in the 5 era and presumably were going to be part of the gang going forward, 5, 6 and beyond. And yes, everything's had to kind of rejig and reboot. However you would describe it to, yeah, as you say, cut out some of the new stuff, revert back to the old stuff. Who knows how many more of these we'll get.
Some have said that there's a hint at Matthew Lillard's character in this trailer. I didn't pick up on it, did you?
I didn't. I had heard that he was possibly involved, but no, I might need to go back and watch it because there were 1 or 2 things I noticed that were nods to older movies, but I haven't gone through it forensically yet. Maybe I will.
And someone had picked up on some visual cue in the trailer that suggests that McKenna Grace's character might be the killer for some reason. I mean, she doesn't have any lines in the trailer, but McKenna Grace is in it, and she might be the killer because the skirt she was wearing was the pattern on the wall or something in the attraction Airbnb or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit cobbled together as Damage Control, though. I got the sense of that from this trailer.
Yeah, and again, if my expectations were anything above 0.1, then I might be worried about that, but they'll probably just chuck a bunch of Easter eggs and references, and it's not entirely a win-win situation for the makers because it's so self-referential that for fans like me, again, you can just kind of play the hits and just go over it again, and even if it comes out with some ridiculous, it was this person, or this person's still alive, or none of that happened, it was all a dream. That, at this stage, is probably where they're going to go with this kind of thing.
So what you're saying is the slop to the pigs approach is okay with you?
Oink, oink is all I can say.
We'll find out. It's out in February, I think, so it's not too far away. I'll see it. Perhaps we'll organise a cinema trip so we can complain about it afterwards.
Complain? I'm expecting to be raving about this.
Well, I'll be complaining.
Okay,
let's move on to Merv, which is Charlie Cox and Zoe Deschanel sharing custody of a dog after they break up. Charlie Cox is not playing Daredevil, so he gets to act like someone who can see in this one, which must be great for him. I do wonder, is this a film about a former couple learning how to be single, or is it about them finding each other again through their dog? I think much of audience engagement will depend on how they feel about dogs in this. It seems to be very dog-centric in the trailer. The emotional investment will all come from whatever the dog is doing. But it looks kind of charming. It looks like a feel-good Saturday afternoon sort of movie.
Yeah, I feel as if you've got more stomach for this 100% pure cheese than I do. It kind of reminds me of an older sort of rom-com, as you say, dog-centric. It's probably going to be very heartwarming, tear-jerking. I'm sarcastically asking, I wonder what happens in the end, because I don't at all. I think I can tell exactly what's going to happen in the end.
There's two possibilities. Either they'll get back together, or they'll decide, you know what, we're okay being alone, but we'll see our dog once in a while.
There is only one possibility.
Or maybe the dog will find love and won't care about them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that could happen, but ultimately that all kind of combines with the one possibility.
The thing is, in terms of rom-coms, I do actually think that the loss of them is quite a significant loss for cinema as a whole, because you don't have actors like, say, Charlie Cox just honing their craft by appearing in a bunch of rom-coms so that people know who they are and people like who they are and see them in a lot of stuff, and you see them rise up and get more expensive roles as they go, and they get to a point where they sort of graduate out of that. That used to happen. You think of actors like Matthew McConaughey and people like that. They did their time in movies like that.
Yeah, and there's probably that dearth now. There's a gap where studio movies are all $100 million and above. There's nothing in the middle. And then these sorts of films get kind of relegated to Hallmark or terrible Netflix movies with people you've never heard of, which is great. Those people deserve to be in films as much as anyone. But it's good also when you get a movie that features people who are talented and
on the rise.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make 10 of these or 20 of these for one Tron Ares.
Right.
And you would make a lot more money out of 20 of these than you would out of one Tron Ares, unless you put Jared Leto in any of those rom-coms, in which case you'll lose a lot of money.
Wasn't Morbius a rom-com?
Yeah, it was something. That's the film that flopped twice at the box office. Tron Ares will only flop once.
Does 2 flops make a success?
You're the studio money man, you tell me.
Well, I guess if you get enough memes out of it, then it kind of lives on culturally, and you can probably wring something out of it there. So we'll get the social media department onto it.
You're thinking long term.
Yeah, it's an investment.
Which is what studios do not do now.
No, we don't usually go for that kind of thing, but when it's the only option, I mean, if you can't just tank it and write it off as a tax thing, sometimes you got to go for the memes. So
like I say, this will probably be a charming enough Saturday afternoon movie. It's a Prime movie as well, so it's not even appearing in cinemas, which is unfortunate, because it feels like you might sell a few tickets to something like this. Look, there's a dog in it. Let's go see it.
Once Upon a Time, Marley and Me was a cinema movie.
Yeah, make sure you look up, does the dog die before you go see this one, I guess? I don't think it will, but you can never be too careful.
From having predicted what happens at the end, that would be some twist that I would not have seen coming.
But look it up anyway, just in case, if you're at all worried about the fate of this dog. Let's move on to Is This Thing On? A different sort of a comedy. This one's more of a rustic comedy movie, but it's about comedy. You have Will Arnett being more subdued with the self-deprecating humour that would border on depressing if framed slightly differently. It's a fine line to walk, and it's interesting that he's walking it. I think he has the chops to do it, and I quite appreciate that he's not giving as large a performance as he usually does. This is directed by Bradley Cooper, and Will Arnett, as I say, is in this as a comedian that likes to just tell depressing stories about his life and have people laugh at him.
Yeah, and if I take my top hat and monocle off for a minute, this is kind of mid-budget adult drama, so we're talking a slightly different sort of thing than dog rom-com. So it might be worth going several times to see this, buying tickets for it, just to bump the numbers of this middle budget sort of thing that we just don't see as much anymore. It's got good actors in it. It is about comedy, but as you say, it's kind of anti-comedy, and he's just doing it because he wants to tell his story and is sad about his divorce. So yeah, I feel as if there's maybe something here. As I say, it's the kind of thing we don't see very often, and maybe we'll get more stuff that isn't just special effects driven, multi-million-dollar fare. And back on with the hat and monocle.
We need a bit of roughage in our cinema diet, don't we? Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does look good, and Bradley Cooper is a director. He has directed before. Did he direct A Star is Born? Maybe. He knows what he's doing, anyway. He knows what he's doing in that space. And I think this film probably exists because he wants to make it. He has that kind of clout that allows some financing to come his way. He's seen in the trailer sporting different configuration of facial hair and long hair.
Track that. Put it on the Cooper tracker.
Yeah. He does like to experiment with his personal grooming. Worth pointing out.
Well noted.
Yeah, looks good. Maybe I'll laugh at it and then feel sad that I laughed because I'm laughing at this guy's horrible life. Sometimes it's good to feel guilty about your laughter, isn't it? Because it adds an extra dimension to it. It's, I shouldn't have laughed at that. You know when someone tells you a story and you think it's funny and then you realise from the reaction to it that it wasn't funny?
All too often, yes.
You just laugh and you're like, oh, you want me to go, oh, that's not good. Let's move on to a different sort of comedy. We have Man vs. Baby, where Rowan Atkinson is looking after a baby that goes missing and decides to go on an adventure with it instead of returning it to his parents, which is a choice that he's made. This is basically Mr. Bean. It's basically another Mr. Bean movie in a lot of ways. They even make fun of the fact that he was Mr. Bean in this trailer, which may be the funniest joke in the film. Don't know. Rowan Atkinson is good at this sort of thing. In fact, some could argue that it's the only thing he's good at. So at least he knows his niche and he sticks to it. It might be fun.
I feel like this also kind of seems like it's a movie out of time. The 80s and 90s, you'd get hapless guy somehow ends up in charge of a baby he has no right or responsibility for, no experience with, and bumbles through various comedy situations to a heartwarming conclusion. So yeah, it feels out of time. It's a bit of a dichotomy of Rowan Atkinson for me because I love Blackadder. I'd watched those series over and over again. I was never really into Mr. Bean, which I feel like is some sort of crime to admit. I have seen various episodes of Mr. Bean, but I always preferred this more suave and sarcastic character that Rowan Atkinson portrayed, and that's why I thought dumbing it down to Mr. Bean, yes, it's funny, but it wasn't the performance for me.
What about Johnny English?
Nah, a lot of his films, he was in Rat Race, he was in the Johnny English films. Anytime it's bumbling wasn't really for me.
Somehow there's 4 Johnny English films.
Oh God, it wasn't really at the end of the scale of his that I enjoy, and this appears to be further along that way. It's Christmassy though, it's presumably heartwarming, so it's going to hit well with a particular segment.
Yeah, it's a cold day, you're under the duvet on the couch, you maybe have a Christmas jumper on, you have a nice warm drink, and you just watch this.
You just watch Scream 5 again.
Actually, I'm really looking forward to heading into the cheesy Christmas period because I do enjoy the cheesy, crappy Netflix Christmas movies that come out every year. I'm looking forward to December 1st so that I can start getting stuck into those. I do not engage with Christmas movies before Christmas. I just refuse. Or before December.
I'm the same. Christmas music, Christmas movies are for December only.
The exception is if I'm binging a TV series and there's a Christmas episode.
It's funny because even then it feels slightly out of place.
But you can't really help it. I'm not waiting 7 months to watch the rest of this season.
No, you should be a purist and put the rest of your rewatch on pause. Hold it up until Christmas and then go again.
Watch that one episode and then wait until January to resume the series.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
But it looks like it will fulfill a particular purpose, and it doesn't really need to do any more than that. It's a streaming movie, so you can even second screen it if you want. You can be playing Christmas Candy Crush on your phone at the same time.
No doubt it is programmed specifically for that purpose.
One note I put is, the baby looks uncanny, and I couldn't figure out if it was a weird puppet or there was CGI or it's a combination of both.
Yeah, maybe. Now that you mention it, I did think a similar sort of thing. Maybe they just couldn't get the baby to do what they wanted it to, so they just had to kind of animate various sequences.
Babies notoriously lax at taking direction.
Just can't get the actors these days.
That's it. That's why there's not many films where cats are the pet of choice, because you can't really get them to do anything.
Yes. Too free-spirited.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to something slightly more serious. Good luck, have fun, don't die, as a guy takes hostages and claims to be from the future. And the trailer makes it look like he is actually from the future rather than the film being ambiguous about whether he's a crackpot or not, which is what I thought was going to be the case before I watched the trailer. That's unfortunate. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it'll be great. But I just quite like the idea of this hostage situation involving this guy who claims to be from the future. And the whole question around the entire situation is he actually from the future?
Yeah, actually, I was kind of thinking of, this is my Top Gun Maverick mention of the pod, the scene where Maverick walks into the diner after he's crashed the futuristic plane, and people think he's from the future, or when the little kid thinks that he's a spaceman or something. Kind of reminded me of that to begin with. It's Sam Rockwell. He's always good.
The manic energy will be on point.
Yeah, it looks visually interesting. I don't think that the trailer gave away too much. I mean, it shows a fair bit, but it doesn't tell you too much about the plot, which is good. And there's obviously some humour in this as well, so it could be a good mix.
It's another film that falls into the subgenre AI anxiety.
Yes.
AI is going to take over the world and kill us all, or probably replace us in our jobs so that we're poor and can't feed ourselves, which is the real danger, I think. Not that I'm cynical about such things, but that's totally what's going to happen. Mark my words. It's a really boring apocalypse, isn't it?
Yes.
You want Terminators, you just get rampant unemployment. Congratulations.
Mundanity of evil.
Exactly. Next up, this isn't really a trailer, it's a title announcement for the sequel to Godzilla -1, called Godzilla -0. So the numbering is going in the right direction. Will the next one be Godzilla +1, where he's maybe invited to a wedding as Mothra's +1 and has to go?
A title reveal trailer. I mean, I presume this sort of thing happens all the time at conventions where it's teasers and things.
Here's the logo for this movie that you want to watch.
Yeah. It specifies title reveal trailer. I had never seen such a thing. I also think it's funny that it says Godzilla -0.0, which a lot of people in the comments seem to be picking up on and calling it Godzilla goo.
That's a good one. Have you seen Godzilla -1?
I'm ashamed to say I've seen about 15 minutes of it. I feel as if it deserves more than that because I've heard good things.
Did you see it's in Japanese and turned it off?
No, I fully intended to watch it before going on holiday to Japan to kind of warm me up to it. And then we ended up watching it the night before we were traveling, and we had a really early flight, and we were all so tired that we were like, I don't know if we can stay up and watch this. So I should have watched it. I haven't.
I went to see it in IMAX and thought it was very good.
I need to get around to it.
Despite the subtitles, as everybody knows listening to this, I struggle with subtitles, but sometimes I make an exception. There's a really work hard to read the stuff and pay attention to what's going on, but it's really tiring, so I don't like to do it. My brain isn't wired to do those two things at once.
Yeah, I played Ghost of Yotei in Japanese and read it. It's more immersive sound-wise, but yeah, it's quite odd playing a video game and focusing quite so much on the strip at the bottom of the screen. But then, now that I've played Tsushima and Yotei in Japanese, I can't imagine, I mean, I haven't even really seen clips of the English voiceovers or acting, but I just can't imagine it now. I can't imagine playing it and people speaking in English. It would be quite strange to me.
Isaac does that with the Assassin's Creed game that's set in France, Unity maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Plays it with French audio but with English subtitles.
That is immersive. I can get behind it because for those types of games that are so well crafted and the look is very important and the feel, the setting. But then it's such a beautiful game that it's a shame sometimes that you can't be enjoying the rest of the greater part of the screen.
And then you reach the first tailing mission and throw the disc out the window. Speaking of video games, we're getting onto a couple of video game to live action adaptations. We'll start with Fallout Season 2. This is the New Vegas season, as opposed to the Fallout 3-ish Season 1. I didn't like Season 1. I thought it started off really well, but I really lost interest in it by the end. I thought the twist at the end was really stupid and I couldn't get past that. And I thought the portrayal of the wasteland was initially very good, but then it just seemed very small, where people were just stumbling onto each other, despite the fact that in the game, as far as I know, in Fallout 3, it's very expansive and lots of empty space and lots of nobody around and so on. This season is more of a buddy situation with Ella Purnell and Walton Goggins, which might be fun. I'm not all that enamoured by it. I didn't like the first season, as I said, so I'm not so inclined to watch this one. Did you watch Season 1? Have you played Fallout?
I did, yeah. It's interesting because it was one of these things where I found it to be very evocative of the game. I thought it was really well made. I thought it was really well observed. You could tell that people who knew what they were doing and knew what they were referencing were involved. I think my problem with it was that where you're playing an RPG, and a first-person RPG, it's so much about your experience as the player, and I couldn't really square that when you're watching several different perspectives. Obviously, for a TV show, you have to have it be a bit more wide-ranging and you're telling various different stories at the same time. And to me, that doesn't make it Fallout, which is difficult because, as I say, the atmosphere, everything else, the wasteland, yeah, I take your point about it seeming a bit small, but you have to cut a few corners to make it a TV show because you could be wandering around in Fallout 3 for 100 hours just looting and things like that. You're not going to make a TV show out of that. So I can see the sort of push and pull of that. I thought it was very accurate, very true to the games, and it held enough back where presumably people are looking forward to seeing Death Claws and Super Mutants and New Vegas and all this sort of thing. So I think those sorts of things will be in the second season. It never really got its hooks into me in terms of this is must-see viewing. I need to find out what's going to happen in this story. And because it follows a very similar story for the character that's leaving a vault, and it's all to do with your father. And if you've played the games, then those feel very familiar. Maybe it's good because people who haven't played the games can experience it and engage with it in that way.
The different characters was actually quite a clever touch, because what it did was it represented different play styles, each of them.
Yeah, different factions.
Yeah, which conceptually at least is fine. It actually had its hooks in me for the first couple of episodes. I really liked the vault stuff, the vault politics, and what's her name, Lucy's preparation for her wedding and all of that. Then the Wasteland stuff, it lost me very quickly. Yeah, and then the ending, no, just not interested.
Whenever they went back to the people who were still in the vault, I was a bit like, I don't really care about this.
It feels like we're beyond that now, yeah.
Yeah, in the games, you obviously encounter vaults where weird things have happened, experiments have happened, or everyone's killed each other or whatever. And so you're getting a bit of that and you're seeing where they're laying that groundwork. But once she was out, and I felt like she was the protagonist and you want to follow her journey, anytime they skip back to her brother in the vault and whatever was going on down there, I was like, I just can't be bothered with this stuff.
Well, maybe see, it's out this year. It's so weird because it was silence for such a long time, and then suddenly here's the first trailer a few months ago, and now it's it's out this month, next month, whatever it is.
I'm reading a graphic novel called Geiger at the moment. I've got the volume 1 trade paperback. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's eerily similar to Walton Goggins' character's experience as the ghoul in Fallout. The character Geiger in it, he's a kind of superhero who's been irradiated by a nuclear explosion. His family were in a bunker and were sheltered from it. He didn't make it in. And then it happens very close to Las Vegas. So the civilization, in inverted commas, humanity is living sheltered from radiation in Las Vegas and go out into a wasteland where Geiger is, and he's this kind of glowing man that is a bit of a vigilante because the people that exist in Vegas are exploiting everyone else and going out and raiding and all these kinds of things. And I have no idea what influenced what. I assume that the original Fallout games are older than this. They must be.
Yeah, they were out in the 80s or 90s. They were like point and click, I think.
Yeah, I would think that Fallout New Vegas is probably older than it as well. I'd need to check that. I don't know, and I'm not speaking from a position of authority, but I'm enjoying that, and it's just interesting that watching this trailer reminded me of the fact that these two characters are very similar in that they're avenging family men.
Maybe they'll make that into a thing at some point, and people are like, this is just like Fallout.
Yeah, maybe.
Next video game adaptation. This is the third of these movies, although I don't know how connected the movies are, if they are at all. Return to Silent Hill. This one is apparently based on Silent Hill 2, which is many people's favourite game. It's the only one I've played of the Silent Hill series. Will this be any good? The other two aren't, as far as I remember. I've only seen them once. The thing for me is this looks a bit iffy visually. It looks more showy and less creepy. And I prefer Silent Hill to be more what you're not seeing most of the time, rather than all this weird stuff and very clearly CGI overlit stuff.
Hordes of juddery zombies everywhere.
Yeah. It looks alright. If it's based on Silent Hill 2, I hope it has the dog ending, like the game has. One of the alternate endings is you stumble into this control room that's manned by a dog just pulling levers. So all the strange stuff that's happening is this dog messing with you.
I'm vaguely familiar with that. I've never played any of the Silent Hill games, but I think I must have seen that online. Yeah, I agree that the visuals are a bit underwhelming, and I don't have any kind of connection to the source material. I was interested in your take because you're into Resident Evil, and there's a bit of a similarity there.
I wonder if it's Resident Evil or Silent Hill like it's Star Wars or Star Trek. I played more Resident Evil than I did Silent Hill. Like I say, Silent Hill 2 is the only one I've played. I know there's a new one out at the moment.
Yes.
Silent Hill F or something like that. And they did a remake of Silent Hill 2 about a year ago as well, which I haven't played. I played the original.
I'm too much of a scaredy cat for them.
They are quite scary, yeah. There are 3 Silent Hill films now, I think. There's definitely 2 others, but I don't know if there's more than that. One of them has Sean Bean in it. That wasn't very good. And then there's another one that doesn't have Sean Bean in it, and it's also not very good. So will this one continue the trend of just not being very good? Looks like it, to be honest. Will I see it? I don't know. They're making another one. It's a strangely long-running video game adaptation horror franchise, like the Resident Evil movies. There are lots of them too.
Yeah, maybe this is another one. If the stars align and you're at the cinema, then maybe.
And then I decide not to go home and go see this instead.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our final of this list of trailers. Let's talk about Project Hail Mary, which is another adaptation of Andy Weir's work. He wrote The Martian, and the movie adaptation of The Martian was excellent. You can see some similarities here, as in there's video diaries, which obviously The Martian was very reliant on as a storytelling device. There's the strange idea of sending the depressed scientist into deep space. That seems like a great idea, especially when the very existence of the human race is at stake. You want to send this unstable guy out there to be your last hope. Ryan Gosling is always a win, and it looks really good. It seems like it might be about communication and friendship through communication and finding ways to relate to people that you might not understand easily.
Yeah, it was giving me Arrival type vibes. It obviously gets points for a slowed down pop song in the trailer, so if you're playing the drinking game at home, take a shot now.
Oasis song, this one?
Yes. I wonder if it shows perhaps a little bit too much in the trailer. I understand that they're building it up, and I agree with you about The Martian. It's quite similar. It's got a person who they're not entirely on their own, but isolated and working to save the universe, perhaps, in this. It looks good. I haven't read the book The Martian or the book Project Hail Mary, but I would go to see it based off that.
Someone that did read the book told me not to read the book before going watching this, because there is something that he's surprised the movie marketing hasn't spoiled yet. It's in the book that could be something that they would use as a hook for the film, but apparently it's a nice reveal once it comes, whatever it is.
Okay.
So if there is no nice reveal, then I will be really disappointed, because I've been pre-blown on that respect. Yeah, it looks good. It looks a lot better than Mickey 17, which I put in the same bracket because they're both films about guys out in space, which granted is a very low point of comparison. But they seem to have similar vibes, and I didn't like Mickey 17. I thought it was a misfire.
I can see this having optimistic, positive, heartwarming vibes, but it appeals to me more than some of the other optimistic, positive, heartwarming stuff that we've talked about, because if you've got a bit of a sci-fi slant, there's something about the human condition that's being examined here that appeals to me more.
Yeah, proper sci-fi stuff. Wouldn't that be nice? Hey, we are out of... Oh, can you hear that? It sounds like it's the Hunger Games canon. I'm going to have to go and fight for my life for a little bit, so if you want to watch along and maybe sponsor me and send me an apple or something like that so I don't die, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll volunteer you as tribute.
That's what I get as the boss, I suppose. Don't make any sudden moves. I'm armed.
I can't guarantee that this crossbow isn't loaded.
You can't even see what I'm armed with.
Oh no, and I gave away that I have a crossbow.
There you go. You've already lost.
Already lost the Hunger Games. Listen, I know that if I were in the arena, I would die pretty much immediately. And there's something comforting in that, just knowing that about oneself. So it's okay. I make no excuses.
Did you ever watch the YouTube channel Film Theorists? I think they're not there anymore. Well, the channel's still there, but I don't think they do anything anymore.
Yeah, Matt Pat left YouTube, but I used to, yes.
They did a Hunger Games one, and apparently their top survival tip for the Hunger Games is when you're in that decadent phase before you go into the arena, you just eat as much as humanly possible. Because it increases your body mass, and that means you'll be able to hang in there a bit longer in terms of endurance.
Sure, if you can find a place to hide that they can't make you come out of, because there's also the possibility of the game makers making you come out of your hiding space and pushing you towards other tributes so that they kill you. There's a whole thing. So if you can, and then you have enough body mass to burn, I guess it is a bit extreme. But then again, so are the Hunger Games.
Indeed, yes. So welcome, Cat from District, whatever.
Probably 12. I don't know. I'm not from America. It's hard to say.
I don't know the difference. Apart from the rich ones, they all look about the same.
Well, no. Okay, so let's think about this. Potentially District 4 because they're sea or coastal, and I'm from Greece, and so maybe shrug. Yeah, let's say District 4. I'll take that.
Is that one of the rich ones?
Not extremely, no.
Okay. For some reason, I have it in my head that economically it goes from 1 to 12.
Districts 1 and 2 are the rich ones. District 1 is a luxury district. I know way too much about this. I'm so sorry. So District 1 is the luxury district. District 2 is the military district. So they're rich in a sense because they're tied in with the military might of Panem.
They're all the people that train and then they volunteer. don't they?
In terms of tributes, yes. Districts 1 and 2 have like a career system where you train up and then you volunteer in your late teens, basically. Everybody else, even District 3, which is the IT technology district, I guess they're a little richer in that there's desk jobs, but nobody's free. Nobody is having a good time in Panem. And the rest, it's not really hierarchical anymore. So from 4 onwards, it's just different kind of material specialties. So District 4 is the fishing and coastal district. 5 we don't know that much about. I don't remember 6. 7 is the lumber district, so it's all just forests for days, cutting down trees and things. So in any case, it's not proportionate, if that makes sense.
Sure. I have read the books, but it was a long time ago, and I've seen all the movies. Again, quite a long time ago, and I don't really remember the last prequel, but we're here to talk about the next prequel, which is, I guess we could call it an in-between-quel at this point.
It is a little bit, yeah, it's like a prequel sequel.
Interquel? I don't know.
Interquel? Yeah.
We have to come up with different terminology for all this nonsense that franchises are up to these days.
Basically, yes. This one's a funny one, because I would have argued the previous prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the Coriolanus Snow origin story, I did not have it on my bingo card as a prequel that we needed and or wanted. It wasn't bad. It had some issues, but it was largely just building more on the world and more on the philosophy of the series. But this one, Sunrise on the Reaping, is the prequel that we wanted and needed since basically day one. I remember reading the books when the films were coming out, and I was like, I want Haymitch's games. I want to see that. And we have now. I've read the book and we're getting the movie in record time. And I cannot wait. This trailer looks perfect. I think we're back to first Hunger Game movie level of lifting up the source material and making it even better on screen. It's not a bad book at all, I would say, Sunrise on the Reaping, but there's a lot of cinematic feel to it that I think is going to work great on screen. And the whole time so far, I've been following the production's Instagram page where they've been releasing casting news and locations. And here's the new announcement of who's playing who. And they had an open casting call at some point for some of the kids in the Hunger Games. And so it was literally people sending in videos on Instagram or TikTok or somewhere. And that's how they found, I think, one person from the tributes. It's been fun because it's watching it all happen in real time. But yeah, since the book came out, fell right into a rabbit hole of Hunger Games theories and explainer videos and folklore and philosophy and everything that's under the surface of the books that Sunrise on the Reaping absolutely built on, as did Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, actually. Songbirds and Snakes, plural. So both of them really added more to the tapestry of the world of Panem, and a lot of it is very connected to present-day American folk music and folk heroes, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff from young women who have just finished university studying various areas such as philosophy or geography, and then just kind of letting loose their new knowledge about the connection between all of these subjects and the Hunger Games. And it was really interesting picking apart a lot of the stuff that I wouldn't really know anything about because it's not my culture, and I wouldn't know these things to start with. And then also just realizing that it's all present in the text, but presented in a way that it's not beating you over the head with a lot of these connections and the symbolism and the philosophy about war, basically, and what people are capable of and the nature of man in war and things like that. There's a lot of really heavy stuff for a book series aimed at teenagers. In fact, technically middle grade, I think, the first books. So there's actually quite a lot to parse in there.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've discussed it before, but it's only gotten more relevant in the years since because of the way that society seems to be going this hellish direction that we're hurtling in. So people might be more awake to the messages that it's stating, because it is this, we are kind of in an arena fighting each other for survival while the rich watch and laugh at us. extreme decadence. So there's a lot there. And that's a pretty obvious reading, but there's a lot there that can be interpreted and be understood and be related to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think more so than ever, Sunrise on the Reaping is more current in its commentary. A lot of it has to do with propaganda and how narratives can be manipulated, often in real time. And if you only see what they want you to see, you will believe what they want you to believe. And a big part of Haymitch's story is he doesn't want to become a part of their propaganda specifically. He's like, I don't want my life and my story to be something that they use for their own gain. And it's not a spoiler to say nobody is free from that, especially anyone who's a tribute in the Hunger Games. They will use you and your story and your image and everything else, and they will craft it even in order to tell the story that they want to tell, which is nobody can be free from the Capitol. Any thought about hope or rebellion or a different future is pointless. And basically, the core narrative is, you've seen the movies and you've read the books, and I presume that most of the listeners will have at least seen the movies. The core question of Sunrise on the Reaping is, what if the rebellion wasn't ready? There's an idea and there is intention, but they don't have the basis that exists by the time that Katniss is a tribute. Katniss was just kind of there. She just happened to be around at the time that the rebellion was ready to go, and they made her their symbol against her will and all of that. And a big part of her narrative is just being used to tell a story and not really having agency, or feeling like she doesn't have agency, and what she does with that. In Haymitch's case is he is absolutely ready to be a rebel, but is the world ready for that? And how can we get there?
And then eventually becomes an alcoholic and sort of gives up.
I mean, when you see this movie, with everything that happens to him, it absolutely makes sense.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it just sucks.
Everyone has a breaking point, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that we need that many more prequels per se in this world. I don't know who else. There's a lot of other tributes who we get to know, especially in Catching Fire, because that pool is existing victors.
How many Hunger Games have we not seen? There could be 100 of these or whatever it is.
Absolutely, but not all of those would be equally interesting. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was the 10th ones, and it was still not its quote-unquote current form. So I think between Ballad and Sunrise is 40 years. So in that time, by the time of Sunrise on the Reaping, the Hunger Games are what we know of them from the first quadrilogy, I guess, of films. So in that regard, there's no core plot points, I think, left. But then again, I didn't know about the Coriolanus Snow story at the time that came out. So who's to say if there's any more plans to add more stuff?
Well, franchising's franchising, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it's interesting. It just matters that we can make it. In some cases. In
some cases, yes. But the thing is, for this one, it actually has been interesting. At first, I was like, I don't need a Coriolanus Snow prequel. And then I read it and I was like, oh no, we did need it. And the Haymitch one, we absolutely need it. And it's going to be great. And I cannot wait for the film.
But the other 90, you probably don't.
Yeah, I don't think that we need Finnick's Hunger Games as much as Finnick is a very beloved character.
Or the first Hunger Games, which would probably be the next one.
Not really. I think at this point it would be what was there before? What was there in Panem before the war? Because the war that Coriolanus Snow was a kid during, which is 75 years before Katniss and all of that, there was a dictatorship and there was a rebellion and a really brutal war that decimated the capital, and it was awful, but they did end up winning. So I wonder if it might be of interest to Suzanne Collins and also to us. What was there before? Would it be scarily more similar to what's going on right now?
Maybe.
I feel like now more than ever, it's been interesting to see these films aimed at a younger audience. This could, for lack of a better word, radicalize some kids. Not necessarily make them rebels, but make them aware of what's going on, see those parallels with their own life, and see if there is something that they can do to resist the avalanche, basically, especially in the US. Obviously, the rest of us are outside and we can only watch, but we're not that far behind in the UK, for example. There's a lot of bad stuff happening here too. So I do think that these stories are even more relevant now. And any more in this universe, I will welcome, because so far, Suzanne Collins has not disappointed.
We have a bit of time to wait. This teaser is out a year in advance, pretty much, which is kind of strange, but there we go. In terms of the director, Francis Lawrence, that's another strange thing. He's done all of these. He's done all 5, which is unusual for a franchise, for the same director to take on every entry. So that's worth noting. And I actually think he's gotten much better as a director since the first one, in various other things that he's done. I keep gushing about The Long Walk because I absolutely loved it, and he did that. I thought it was excellent. And even just looking at this, it looks like, not that the other ones weren't professional, but it looks like a much more put together, confident output from him as well.
Yeah, I loved especially the first 2 films in the Hunger Games. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've rewatched them. I don't even think that they're that bad direction-wise. I think that he came in with a really good vision for what that world could look like, what the tone should be. It's the example that I always bring in, here's how to lift the source material that's some okay books for teenagers. They're okay. They're not groundbreaking in terms of their writing style. There is a lot going on under the surface, as I've realized, just watching a lot of analysis content, but the way in which they're written is not really something crazy. But he saw in it what makes it relatable, what makes it captivating, what could work in terms of just something flashy, all of the capital stuff. Visionary, I would say, in how the first couple of films especially portray that and that relationship between the districts and capital. And so I'm very happy, actually, that he kept coming back, because as much as the Mockingjay films were stretched out to make it a 2-parter that didn't need to be a 2-parter and all of that, it's just been good to have that consistency. And I do think the franchise is stronger for it. I don't know that it would be as successful if it had had the Harry Potter approach or the Marvel approach, where every film gets a different director and you better hope this one's a good one. And some of them won't be, very pointedly. So yeah, I think that's why they've been really successful.
Some interesting casting here. We have Joseph Zada, a relative newcomer, as Haymitch. He's a bit too good looking to be a young Woody Harrelson, I would say. Or maybe that's just to underscore how rough his alcoholic post-games life is.
Yeah, I don't know how you would cast this, honestly.
How do you cast a young Woody Harrelson?
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's not that crazy a departure. For some reason, they made Haymitch blonde in the first films, which he isn't supposed to be. And so they've had to stick with that decision.
Woody Harrelson being self-conscious about losing his hair, maybe. He just wants ostentatious wigs every time he does something. Or a hat. One of the two.
He could have had an ostentatious wig that wasn't blonde. The choice to make him blonde was kind of a funny one. And since then, all of the Hunger Games fans have been like, I don't know what that's about, man. Everybody else looks the way they're supposed to look, basically. And then there's Haymitch. I came into this from the film, so it wasn't a shock to me because I hadn't read the books when the first film came out.
Yeah, same.
So I didn't mind that. It's just whatever. It's just a choice. But seeing them stick to their guns now, and it's like, well, he's got to be blonde because the other Haymitch was blonde. That's quite funny now.
We have Elle Fanning as a young Elizabeth Banks. Mm-hmm. Jesse Plemons as a young Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, I was half hoping that they would have cast Cooper Hoffman. I was really half hoping that they would have done that.
Especially the Francis Lawrence connection because of The Long Walk. He's in that.
Yeah, but it might have been too much to ask for the son to play his dead father. Maybe he just didn't want to do that. But Plemons isn't bad casting.
No, he's not. I think he'll probably do fine. Ralph Fiennes as a young Donald Sutherland and an old whoever the guy was in the last one.
Yes.
Whatever his name was, that guy.
Tom Blythe.
There we go.
Is the young Coriolanus Snow. Again, I feel like it was probably too much to ask Kiefer Sutherland to play his dead father.
He also doesn't look a lot like him.
Also that.
Kieran Culkin is a young Stanley Tucci.
Oh yeah, and semi-related to Jason Schwartzman, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he was also a flickerman. That casting was perfect. Jason Schwartzman as an ancestor of Stanley Tucci. I didn't see it until I did, and then it was like, oh man, wow, actually, that's great. I think Culkin's going to be pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about this cast. Elle Fanning as Effie is brilliant casting, I think, and she's going to be great. Very excited about that one specifically.
Maya Hawke's in here, McKenna Grace, who's kind of killing it at the moment, at least in terms of being in stuff. The quality of that stuff can be debated, such as Scream 7, that film that everybody really wants to see. She's going to be in that. And she was in that Colleen Hoover adaptation that I watched and found unintentionally hilarious. It was one of those things that I couldn't tear my eyes from it because it was just so stupid, but it was somewhat diverting for that period. And she was good in it. So no issues there, so I think she'll be good in this. However big a role she ends up having, she might be someone that dies in the first 10 minutes or something like that. I don't know who any of these people are, apart from the characters I already know.
Let me see. Oh, Maya Hawke? No, she doesn't die. She plays a younger character who was in Catching Fire as an older woman. So she does survive, but bad things do happen to her because this is the Hunger Games.
Of course. Iris Apatow, we've got a couple of Nepo castings in here.
A few, yes.
Yeah, Fanning as well. We'll see more of this over the next few months. There'll be a bigger trailer near the time. This is bizarrely early for something like this, but I guess they have a teaser ready, so we're getting it.
Yeah, they've been filming for a while now, actually, and it was interesting just how concurrent the development was. I think the book came out this spring, and they were already starting to talk about casting and stuff, and they were like, yep, we're making the movie. Let's see who we have. Who would you like to have as whoever? Some interesting Hollywood stuff going on there. It must have been sold as book and film rights kind of immediately, and the story at least must have been carted off by Lionsgate or whoever, basically as soon as it was ready, hot off the presses, here you go, which is impressive, honestly. I think that is one of the good things to come out of, oh, this is a successful franchise, we'll capitalize on it as soon as there's a new book out. Because it has been some time, especially since the movies of the Hunger Games. And so as soon as Ballad of Songbirds was available, boom, movie within the year. And kind of same for this one. So I'm happy as a Hunger Games fan, honestly, to be living in this time. 22-year-old me being super into 22, 24, I think I was, when the first Hunger Games movie came out, and I was obsessed with it. I could not have possibly guessed that at 36, I would get another Hunger Games movie. I'm happy. It's nice for me.
The next one, Suzanne Collins will write the book adaptation of the movie after it's made. That's the trajectory we seem to be on here by the sounds of things.
The next thing, in fact, it's out or on right now, is there's a stage show of the Hunger Games.
Yes, I've seen lots of trailers for that on YouTube.
It's on in a new theatre in London. I have not been yet. I have booked tickets for end of January, so I am hoping to enjoy that. Although I did get tickets in the furthest away. They have numbered the sections of the seating by district.
Of course they have.
And so, of course, I'm in District 11 because I'm poor. And so I bought the cheapest tickets, baby. So I'm up in the gods. But I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Restricted view.
I don't think so, but maybe. Who knows?
If you consider far away restricted, which I do.
I don't, because I work in theater ticketing, and so distance is not an issue. If there's things in my field of vision that prevent me from seeing the whole thing, that is restricted view. And it can be, oh, my seat is too high up and the curvature of the theater means that I can't see half of the stage. People might say, oh, well, you're just far away. And it's like, no. If I can't see half the stage, that is restricted view. I think this one is kind of in the round. It's like an arena, and there's a lot of wire work. It's meant to be really impressive stage work wise. So I'm excited. And also John Malkovich plays Coriolanus Snow, President Snow, and that's great casting. So I'm excited to see that, honestly. We'll see how that goes and if it's any good. I think Conor McPherson did the script and I've enjoyed some of his past plays. So who's to say? Honestly, mystery. I think there's been some shenanigans with the venue, and in its first few weeks, it had a lot of complaints specifically about accessibility, which is crazy considering that it's a new build and they could have made it accessible, except they didn't. So those are some choices that were made.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And just to wrap up my thoughts, a couple of fun facts about some of the casting for this new movie, Sunrise on the Reaping. Glenn Close is the lady in the yellow bee dress at the beginning of this trailer, and she looks terrifying and perfect. She is amazing. She is this larger-than-life capital person. I didn't recognize her in the trailer. I was like, who is that? Oh my God.
When she was cast as Cruella de Vil, it was like, okay, who else would you have playing that role?
Yeah.
Emma Stone, apparently.
Let us not. And then the other fun fact is that the audiobook narrator who narrated this book also has a part in the film. So that's going to be a nice little Easter egg for those of us who listen to the audiobook, because I did. And he was fantastic. And so I'm just happy that we'll get to see him. And yeah, just a nice little thing to do for the book people.
Hopefully over the next year, we'll get that Hunger Games retrospective in some form that we were going to do and didn't. There's plenty of time, which probably means that it'll be October and we'll be wondering why we haven't done it yet.
Always the case. No, we'll definitely get that in the books.
Yeah, we'll actually plan it in early next year. We'll be like, okay, aim for this, do that, and inside baseball for all the listeners. I did say I was armed, so I'm going to deploy my weapon before sending you off, and hopefully it'll be enough to defeat you. But I'm just going to ask you very briefly what you think of the teaser for The Devil Wears Prada 2, because I know that you've seen that movie.
I have seen The Devil Wears Prada 1. I have not seen the teaser, so give me 1 second. I don't know that you told me about this. Hang on.
No, I only thought about blindsiding you today. Basically, someone gets in an elevator and stands next to Anne Hathaway. That's all that happens.
All right. Let's see.
Do you think this needs a sequel?
No. Hang on. Watching the trailer right now. Damn it, they have me hooked. Okay, fine. I did love the first movie, Devil Wears Prada, I think is a cult classic. Is it a cult classic? It is a pretty popular film.
It's classic enough to have a legacy sequel so many years later.
Uh-huh. It had the musical theater treatment, which was terrible, apparently.
Emily Blunt in her early days.
Yeah, Emily Blunt, Anne Hathaway, Stanley Tucci, great cast. And the whole thing was about the push and pull of mainstream fashion media, well, the way it was back in the early 2000s, which is a very different time to now. And Anna Wintour, who is the Vogue editor that Miranda Priestley is kind of based on, has just retired. So I don't know if this has anything to do with that, but the legacy of that world is different now. And fashion media and the fashion industry and all of that, it has changed a significant amount in the last 20 years. So I wonder if that will play any part in it. But seeing Anne Hathaway come back as this character who was just so against the fashion people and just like, you don't get to tell me what to wear and you don't get to tell me blah, blah, blah. And through the film, she kind of gains an appreciation of design and fashion and the clothes that she thought she wasn't being told how to wear and how actually that was a trickle-down influence from elsewhere that becomes a simpler form. But the colors, the patterns, all of these things, that iconic Miranda speech. It's a fun trailer. It tells us absolutely nothing about where they plan to take things. It would be nice to see at least Stanley Tucci and Emily Blunt, at least the two of them, because they were iconic in the first film. But who's to say? I will watch this probably, although I don't know that I will rush to the movies to see it. It's one of those I can wait and watch it on streaming.
Unless there's a second trailer that actually blows your mind.
Mayhaps. And or if it's a slow cinema week and it's like, well, I guess I'm watching that this week.
Sydney Sweeney's in this one. I wonder if she's going to be the Anne Hathaway equivalent for this movie.
Maybe.
I have not seen the first one, but I know that she's new to the industry and the POV character into this hellscape that is, I guess, the fashion industry. So in the vein of legacy sequels just being the first film, but again, then that would kind of make sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I should watch the first one. I just haven't.
It's pretty good. It's pretty fun, I will say.
I like everybody in it. I just haven't watched it for whatever reason. One of these days. So I feel like I've successfully defeated you with the surprise weapon I had hidden.
That was a surprise weapon. Yeah, damn it.
I love it when everything comes together. I'm going to give you a 5-second head start. And then if we encounter each other later in the games, then what goes down, goes down.
Fair enough. Okay, see ya.
Okay, I'm back. I've done some things I'm not particularly proud of, but I survived.
Not again.
These bloody Hunger Games. I'm sick of being dragged into them. Anyway, we're out of trailers now and committed murder, so there we go. Let's move on to some of our Kneel Before Pod pillars. We don't have any Marvel stuff this month. There was a seemingly confirmed reveal of Werewolf by Night 2 that Michael Giacchino was talking about, but it's not confirmed, so I didn't really put it on to talk about. But if they do make another one, I won't hate it, because I liked Werewolf by Night 1, or as it's also known, Werewolf by Night, because there wasn't more than one of them at that point.
The Great Werewolf by Night.
Yeah. So let's move on to DC. We have a TV spin-off of the James Gunn Superman movie in the works, centred around Jimmy Olsen, which you may think is absurd, but have you ever heard of the comic book Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, where Superman was a supporting character?
I have not. So I do think it sounds absurd.
You know, there's DC villain Darkseid.
I'm aware of Darkseid, yes.
He made his first appearance in a Jimmy Olsen comic.
Whoa.
There is a great bit of comic book history that I like to trot out once in a while. Usually to people that know nothing about comics but pretend they know everything about comics. And then you throw a fact like that at them and they're like, no, I didn't. And then they look it up. And then they explode because I've just destroyed them.
Now I can use that technique against such people.
Exactly. Another factoid to throw at people is Robin existed 1 year after Batman did.
Mind blown.
Anyway, Dan Perrault and Tony Yacenda, who created the award-winning mockumentary of American Vandal, which I've never seen. The duo will write, executive produce, and showrun the Superman movie TV spin-off to star Skylar Gisondo, the actor who played Daily Planet photographer and unlikely ladies' man Jimmy Olsen. Gisondo and the character became a true breakout from James Gunn's summer movie. Did he though? And a show was put into development around him. The concept centres on Olsen as well as other Daily Planet reporters, minus Lois Lane and Clark Kent. It's their day off all the time. Who tackle cases involving superpowered villains. Gorilla Grodd would be in the spotlight for the season, so not the grounded reporter drama or comedy drama that we would expect. Grodd is a super intelligent evil ape who rules a secret African city named Gorilla City. The character is a key antagonist for The Flash and first appeared in an issue of the Scarlet Speedsters comics back in 1959. He was created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino. So basically, we're getting almost normal people in a superhero universe show, but they're dealing with Gorilla Grodd, which is actually in with the vibe of the Superman movie where kaiju attacks and stuff aren't really anything to worry about. They're just commonplace in this universe. It's just the day-to-day.
You just get it on the weather forecast.
Yeah, 60% chance of kaiju attack. I'm actually not against this idea. I do quite like the idea of looking at just normal people in a fantastical universe like that without the superheroes around, just to see what their daily lives are like. There was a comedy show that wasn't very good called Powerless that had Vanessa Hudgens in it that was a similar idea. Its funniest joke was in the first episode and it never quite matched it. Basically, she's late for work because there's a supervillain attack that delays her train. It's funny, but the rest of it just didn't have that kind of insight. So maybe this will do a good job. What do you think? Have you seen Superman, the more recent one?
I haven't. But yeah, I think that it sounds like it's kind of a tough road to hoe as normal people in a super world. As you say, if you tell that joke once, there's not many more places you can go with it. So yeah, as you led off with, I am surprised about a Jimmy Olsen spin-off, despite all of the mind-blowing facts you hit me with afterwards. Presumably then this all builds a new cinematic universe, and is that the plan? Is it going to be feeding into... This is where I lost the MCU, because once there were TV shows and things that you didn't have to see to be able to follow the movie storylines, but once you know that there's something out there that you're not catching up with, that's where I started falling off.
Well, it is already a universe. It started with Creature Commandos, which is an animated thing that was on HBO Max, and Peacemaker Season 2 is also in that same universe that came out after Superman. Peacemaker Season 1, amusingly, is not set in that universe, although the events of Season 1 are canon to Peacemaker Season 2. It's somewhat confusing.
That is convoluted.
It doesn't really matter, though, ultimately, because it doesn't really have any impact on anything. And then you have Superman. Next year, you have Supergirl coming out, which will be in that universe. But I think the individual projects are going to be somewhat disconnected. This one, you will probably have some kind of passing interest, at least in this character from Superman. Although Jimmy Olsen is probably enough in the zeitgeist that you could just watch a Jimmy Olsen show. Yeah,
I mean, I agree about the zeitgeist, but I also just think sometimes these characters are side characters or supporting characters or sidekicks for a reason. I suppose that's maybe reductive because there's been a rich history of all kinds of spin-offs for characters like this. I just don't have enough of a history with them to engage with that.
Yeah, but maybe a trailer will come out and you'll be like, I've got to see this.
It's possible.
Okay, let's move on to talk about Star Trek, and take this with a massive pinch of salt because we've been reporting on Star Trek movie rumours since the last Star Trek movie came out, and we still don't have another Star Trek movie. So, pinch of salt. However, this one could happen because there's been a change of management at Paramount, and getting Star Trek back in theatres might be a priority for them. Anyway, there's a new Star Trek movie in the works at Paramount from Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, who most recently worked on the most recent Dungeons & Dragons movie. A lot of details are being kept under wraps for now, but sources say Goldstein and Daly's film is a completely new take on the Star Trek universe, not connected to any previous or current television series, movie, or prior movie development projects. That pitch falls in line with Skydance founder David Ellison's recent comments on an earnings call, where he said the next Star Trek would not be a sequel in the Chris Pine-led series, but something different with the new actors. So the Kelvin timeline is dead. They had 3 films. They had enough time to make like 7 of them, but they only made 3 of them, and now abandoned completely, as we suspected. I like this idea because I do think that these 2 guys will have a good knack for genre. They've done Spider-Man Homecoming, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which they directed. Homecoming they wrote, and some other stuff. People think it's going to be a comedy. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a comedy, although why not? But I think they're very good at genre work, so they might be a good fit for Star Trek.
And you think that working with Chris Pine on Dungeons & Dragons has nothing to do with working with Chris Pine on Star Trek?
Well, they won't be working with Chris Pine on Star Trek.
That's what they say.
They can't afford him. The problem with the Kelvin movies is all of those actors have ballooned to the point where they aren't affordable to make an ensemble piece like that anymore. And it feels like some of the wind was let out of the sails with the sad passing of Anton Yelchin as well. It seems that made the interest, certainly from the people in the cast, wane somewhat. You wouldn't have heard me complain about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 as heavily as some other people have, but I'm at the point with Star Trek where I'm sick of it regurgitating the stuff that I used to like, and I do want a fresh and interesting take. I'm sure you've heard about the Tarantino script that they rejected for some insane reason. If you want your Star Trek franchise or any franchise to persist, you need to be doing new and interesting things with it. So Quentin Tarantino, one of the best working directors around at the moment, wants to give you a Star Trek script. You make that movie. Doesn't matter what it is, you make it, because then you can say Tarantino did a Star Trek movie. I wonder what the new take will be. It might be difficult to sell it to an audience if it isn't Captain Kirk or whoever, but also, if you make a good sci-fi movie, then people might just go to watch it.
Perhaps. I was thinking it was going to be more in the sympathetic to the original character and atmosphere, because with their work on Dungeons & Dragons, they definitely seemed to capture just the feel of a campaign. We talked about it before, but it doesn't lean too far into comedy. There is comedy in it, but it also has some action, and it feels like they understood the assignment. So that would make me feel like they're in safe hands, because understanding the assignment, I think, is key.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you could make a compelling film about a new ship exploring with all fresh characters and a fresh look and whatever else.
Yeah, certainly possible.
Get Timothy Chalamet in it.
Yeah. Chalamet, Glenn Powell, Tom Holland, of course. So I suppose we'll just have to wait and see.
If this ever appears, I have my doubts. I will not believe that they're actually making it until you have pictures of people on set physically making something. Been burned too many times with the promise of Star Trek movies. I will not go down the list, but it is extensive. Next up, we have another revival. This one is somewhat baffling. Gremlins 3 is going to be out on November 2027, November 19th, 2027 to be precise. It's going to be directed by Chris Columbus. He's going to direct and produce. No more is really said about it. It's unclear if Joe Dante will be involved, although I very much doubt it. The thing that gives me pause about this is I feel like we've done absolutely everything that you can do with the Gremlins to make them interesting, because the first film you had a bit of a creature feature horror comedy. The second film you just had an insane comedy where they took chemicals and became different things. What else is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a Gremlins guy. I guess everything is getting a Lego sequel at this point.
Yep.
And it's pretty interesting to know it's got a very specific release date, so something is happening.
If they don't use puppets, there will be a riot.
Oh, they've got to.
I'm not that excited about this. I love the 2 Gremlins movies, and I feel like they should just stay like that. Because anybody who's nostalgic for it doesn't really care about this, and your new audience aren't really going to care about it either.
Think about the toys, the marketing.
Is it going to be Gizmo gets a new owner who gets him wet by accident and all hell breaks loose? It's what it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be.
New owner, Timothy Chalamet, spills a drink on him, and then that's it. Do not feed them after midnight. Still on the whole potential puppet thing, Jennifer Lawrence, Emma Stone developing a Miss Piggy movie with O Mary Tony winner Cole Escola. A film about the temperamental diva puppet is in early development at Disney, which owns the rights to the Muppets. According to knowledgeable sources, the iconic character who first appeared on Jim Henson's The Muppet Show in the 70s has never been the subject of a feature film. Lawrence and Stone will serve as producers, with Escola, a Tony winner for their hit Broadway play O Mary, set to write the screenplay. Are you interested in a Miss Piggy movie?
Not particularly. I think she works well as part of an ensemble. I can't imagine listening to that voice for an entire film.
It's a shame you already have Babe Pig in the City, because you could call this film Babe Pig in the City, couldn't you?
Yeah, it is a shame that the title was taken.
Well, it's Disney. They can reclaim that title, can't they? Is the Babe franchise a Disney property? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I've also heard speculation that the Friday the 13th film Jason Takes Manhattan is similar to the Muppets Take Manhattan. It's a sort of battle for Manhattan. So who knows how many different franchises you could fold in here?
I would watch that, actually, Friday the 13th Muppet crossover.
We've probably suggested many films to be given the Muppet treatment.
Oh, we have.
So why not Friday the 13th?
Kitchen knives and felt everywhere. Fantastic. I'm receiving a signal that the Stargate is about to open, so maybe you want to make yourself scarce and I'll go discuss whatever these people want to do. It's a bit of a circus in this news podcast with all these things happening.
I'm really tempted to touch that weird watery substance that seems to be appearing in the Stargate, but I get the feeling I probably shouldn't.
Just don't be standing in front of it when it opens, because there tends to be a big plume.
Okay, I'll stand to the side. That's
all I know about Stargate, which is perhaps why people are coming to help me with a discussion about Stargate. I wasn't expecting the top brass on this podcast. Hi, guys.
Hello. Major Mackrell, what do you see?
We should have set an amount through first.
Oh, no. There's no money for that anymore. Cutbacks.
Don't know what any of this stuff is, so I guess that's why you're here. Welcome, Chris and Aaron, to the news podcast. You've come through light years of space through a wormhole. Is that what the Stargate is? A wormhole?
Yeah.
I have seen the film. It was a long time ago, but I have seen it. Just haven't seen the TV show.
If I was going to explain it to you, what I would do is I would get a piece of paper, I would fold it in half, and I would puncture it with a pen.
Did they ever do that in the show, or were they not doing it back then?
No, I think there was a lot of drawing on a whiteboard with two circles and a line.
Oh, that works as well. Imagine you're here, and imagine you want to get over here. There's a very long distance between those two spots. But if you use this thing, the distance becomes very short.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
It's very simple. So we have a new Stargate show coming at some point. Prime Video is bringing this Stargate back online. The Amazon-owned streamer has ordered a new series in the beloved sci-fi franchise. The show, titled Stargate, how imaginative, comes from Amazon MGM Studios, which owns the rights to the franchise, and creator and showrunner Martin Giro, who has worked as a writer and producer on the 3 previous live-action Stargate shows. Chris, what do you think of this? Do you think it's good that we're going to get a continuation of this franchise?
A tentative yes, I think is as far as I would go. I really like Stargate. It's one of my cheesy sci-fi go-tos. I enjoy doing rewatches from time to time, as we've talked about on news pods and other things. And yeah, Stargate's one of those ones that I kind of rattle round every once in a while, and it takes a long time to rattle round.
17 seasons and some straight-to-DVD movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. The only one that I haven't watched is Origins. I don't know, Aaron, you might have watched Origins.
Is that a web show?
Cynically, the reason Origins exists, I think, was to keep the license somewhere. That's the only reason for it.
When they wanted to launch a Stargate streaming service, that was a crazy idea someone had at some point. You'll have 17 seasons and a couple of movies on this dedicated streaming service.
This could be blasphemy to some people, but Origins, let's just say, is not the best of them. It does what it needs to do to keep the name Stargate alive, and that's all it actually achieves.
So we can technically say we made this and that they can't take it off us.
Yeah, and the premise itself is not a bad idea. It's not like somebody said, oh, just get the old bad guys out and shoot them for a bit. It was actually a legitimate character that could have had a reasonable story, but then when you see the production, you're like, you didn't bother here, did you? No, not really.
Just a stopgap, like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. we need to keep the rights, so we'll make this.
Yeah, the point where I stopped watching, mainly because the whole thing finished, was Stargate Universe. So that was the one with Robert Carlyle in it.
Stargate Voyager.
Yeah.
As it was known.
It was sort of a variation of that. One of the things that Stargate, I think, had going for it was likeable characters that you were rooting for. When Stargate Universe, for me, went down the, what if you wanted all of these characters to die? And I didn't enjoy it from that point of view. I mean, it still had the premise of jumping through the gate with a different hook of they're moving all the time and this rush for survival. If they had expanded the beginning of Atlantis a lot longer, but the characters just never really gelled with me, and it was a lot of everyone's got a sinister motive for being here and no one particularly comes out well of it, so it just didn't go favourably for me. I stayed loyal, I did watch it, but kind of threw my hands at some point.
You had a sunk cost fallacy approach where I watched 15 seasons of this, so I'm going to keep going.
If I keep watching this, then maybe someone will commission the thing I actually want.
Yeah, but if everybody does that, they'll just assume you want more of the thing that you don't want, and then they'll keep making it. Well, that didn't happen there, did it? Because it got cancelled for low ratings, at least as far as I know. Aaron, what do you think of a new Stargate show? Are you pumped?
I am, actually, because of what they've said they're going to do with it. And you don't know if they're going to get away with it or not. But they've said that it's not a reboot, and they've said that they're not just going to pick up from where they left off. So it sounds like they're not just going to take a different character or a different planet of the existing and just spin off an existing storyline. They're going to try and do something in the same universe, and obviously you're probably going to get visits from some of the old cast, but they're going to start a new series as a jumping on point. And Stargate Atlantis was not a jumping on point. Universe was not a jumping on point. This one, new one, is supposed to be back to SG-1, and it is a place where people can get on and they don't need to know anything. And rumours have always been floating around of what X or Y producer would have done if they had a chance. And one of the most interesting ideas that was previously put out was, well, what if we moved the whole thing into the internet age, i.e. updated it, and what if everybody on the planet knew about the Stargate? What would that do to the population? What would that do to the planet? Where can we go from there? And it would be an alteration to the format. You probably still need teams of people going through the Stargate in order to capture the vibe of the show, but it wouldn't be another one of the teams of people of a type you'd already seen. And Universe was slightly different, but it was still pretty much teams of scientists and soldiers going through gates. So this one could be something different. There could be influencers talking about it. They'd have to bring it back to Earth if they were going to follow in that idea. Now, that's not actually been confirmed as the idea, but I just wanted to bring that up because it was an example of how the producers had already moved into a different evolution. And it is going to be the same people coming back. They've done a little interview, or I say a little interview, they've done a big interview already, where they presented themselves and said, yeah, look, we're all involved. These are the names you know. We care about it, and we're coming back with ideas. So it does seem like there is a chance that this might be more than just that old-fashioned, what's got an audience already? I don't want to take any risks. Can I just have more money, please? It feels like it might not be that. I mean, it could be, but it feels like there's a chance.
There's always a chance, yeah. One thing I was thinking is what would happen if a Trump-like figure got hold of the Stargate? What would they want to do with it? Maybe they already did that. There is 17 seasons. I've no idea.
Well, they'd already had what if the bad guys get control of the government sort of idea. It's never been lent into as hard as what if Trump said we're going to conquer that planet. And that'll probably be too difficult for people to watch, actually, because it's interesting. I really enjoyed Stargate Universe, but don't watch it unless you're in a good mood. If you're already depressed, it will kill you. So they did take a step away from the bright and happy with it and potentially paid the price for that. So I don't think they could go down the route of Trump gets hold of it because it'd be too Stargate Universe for the existing audience. You'd want to go back to the fun for the existing audience, but also simply because I think it'd be easier to attract a new audience if it was more fun, like SJ1 was more often, did have its drama points, did have its tension points, but it was more fun.
It's that jumping on point thing that I keep thinking about because that's going to be difficult to do, I think, for something that has such a rich legacy. Chris, we've talked a lot about various Star Trek things and how they're not even really trying anymore to invite new audiences in whether they said they were planning to ever or not, but they've fallen into that trap of just eating themselves like a lot of franchises have. Star Wars has that problem, and Marvel currently has that problem. They all have that problem to varying degrees, and that is the worry with Stargate, I guess. And it's how you capture an audience that know that there's such a wealth of material out there that they haven't watched, but convincing them that it doesn't matter for them to not be on that page, while also giving existing fans that are familiar with that lore something to chew on as well.
It's a difficult way to tread. The obvious story device is you bring someone new into the SGC and then they're getting introduced to lots of different things, or they're finally getting disclosed onto the program and therefore get a tour and get explanations. A character that everyone else is familiar with introduces them to the different concepts. That's the normal trope, isn't it? And in some ways that can work. In some ways it could be a bit disastrous and a bit too obvious. I do like what you're saying, Aaron, about the possibility of them rocking it up a little bit by going, well, the gate is disclosed now. Because in all the series, the gate has been a secret. No one knows it's there, so the oversight and everything is slightly different. There's no public appreciation of what's happened. They did an episode where they went into the future where they had met an alien race and the gate had then been disclosed and travel was happening between planets quite openly. The gate was essentially sitting in the middle of an airport and people were hopping to and from different planets, doing diplomacy, being tourists. That was a 1 episode, 2 episode art future timeline, alt timeline thing that they did. So we've already seen a little bit of what that world could be like. The exploration aspect could still be there. There's still other galaxies to explore. You still had space travel as part of it, as much as you had the gates. Space travel was introduced to it later on, where Earth had its own fleet of ships. So you've still got all those sort of aspects there, where it wasn't just gate travel. You were getting so many different aspects to it. So yeah, like I say, I'm tentative about it. I'm looking forward to it. In some ways, I'm glad that they're not just doing a straight out reboot, flattening it and starting again, but we'll see if they manage to pull it off. I'll be keeping my eye on what they're doing and looking for little announcements and teases, but I don't think we're going to find out much until it's really close to release.
Friend of the show, Joe Malozzi, is working on it, and I do actually speak to him sometimes, so I will be hitting him up for potential access. Once there's more out there to chew on, maybe he'll throw us a bone. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, it's interesting to note that they are very fan-friendly. Now, Malozzi himself has always been that way, and maybe to a greater extreme than some of the others, I'm not sure, but I've just seen it from him. And even more noticeably, the way they released the biggest chunk of information on this was to go to the 2 big YouTube communities, YouTube influencers on Stargate, and they did it on their channels. So they have this strong fan connection, and all 3 of the big name producers came onto that show. It wasn't just send one of them and get them to talk as a favor. They were very clear when they went on it. We chose to come to both of your channels and do this on purpose to build that connection to your community. I was quite impressed by that, because there's quite a lot at the moment, for good or ill, whatever you think of it, of challenges with old audiences. There's a lot of chat at the moment about this property needs to evolve and the old audience just needs to deal with it, which is not necessarily wrong, but it's still very antagonistic. And there's even been the occasional bit of, this property is no longer for you, old audience. We've got a new audience and we don't want you old, stuck in the past people, which is even more antagonistic. And they bother me from the perspective, I don't care about the cultural war part of it at all. I'm just thinking, do you not like money? You're actively saying to a bunch of people, go away. That just seems daft from a producer's perspective. So I assume they will do a modern Stargate. I assume they will see the prevailing winds of the modern audiences and follow on what they're already doing. They already had some of the minority representation that people are so proud of now. That was already in Stargate. So they can carry on and obey these modern, let's call them requirements, hopefully without actually having to break step. They'll just carry on. But that aside, they said, no, we like our existing audience. We're actually going to connect with you. We're not just going to do a press release and give it to some journalist. We're going to come to the fan communities. We're going to talk to you. We value you. We like you. We want you on board. I mean, it still could go horribly wrong, but it was just such a different tack than what I'm used to, given that producers at the moment seem to be, as I say, much more antagonistic with their audience. We know we're awesome. You just need to realize that. And that, of course, rubs everybody up the wrong way. Stargate producers didn't do that. They said, we know you're awesome and we want you on board. I like the respect.
It's whether they can accomplish that balancing act of pleasing the existing audience and bringing in a new one, because if they don't bring in that new one, the franchise will eventually die.
Well, that's on them. Money where your mouth is. They now have to step up and do it. But that's true about any show. Guess what? Your show has to be good, and it has to be the right kind of good. What makes time travel show popular? Well, if they do it right. Oh, well, okay, what's pro? It is on them, but all we've got at the moment to go by is what have they done? They've said they're not going to fall into the normal traps of what the plot and the characters will be, and they've connected with the fan base. I think they've already done two things that most production companies don't even bother with.
We will reach out to Joe Malozzi when there's stuff to talk about, and we'll see if we can get his attention and get him on and maybe get some access from other people as well. He's been good to us in the past. Aaron, that was your interview with him many, many moons ago.
Did do that, yeah.
Back when dark matter was still a thing.
I was there, yeah.
You were there. So we'll see what goes on there, and we'll reach out to him at the time and see if he helps us out, and we can help him out, because the show will need our help, obviously.
Don't lead with your, we've only got a mouse as a viewer or something. Just don't open with that, all right? Who's your audience? It's my teddy bear over there. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
There's my cat, sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always, but sometimes.
I thought we couldn't count contributors as listeners.
Yeah, only if they listen, though, which isn't always the case. Any last things on the Stargate revival before sending you back through the portal into whatever other meetings you need to attend?
I shall follow instructions from Major Mackrell.
Well, let's head out.
Apparently he's decided that you outrank him. How do you feel about that?
Feels wrong to me.
What's the right term? Is it dialing? Is that what I need to do? Do I need to dial?
Dial the gate, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining, gentlemen. You have helped clear up this confusion on my part, and possibly on the listener's part, in this classified meeting.
Okay, well, we promise not to zat you on the way out, then.
Thank you. That would be appreciated. I should stand away in case that plume hits me and knocks me against a wall.
Oh, it knocks you against the wall. That's not the way it's going to go. I was about to say good knowledge, and then you ruined it.
Or does it vaporize you or something?
Yeah, totally takes you apart, atom by atom.
Your head's gone, yeah.
Okay, I will make sure that I don't stand anywhere near it then. And I'll wear safety goggles, because that's important. You always have to wear safety goggles. That'll stop my face from getting melted. Anyway, thank you very much for your attendance.
Bye.
Okay, we're back. That is a productive meeting that I had with those people that enjoy Stargate. Basically, we're getting a new Stargate TV show, and one or more people had opinions. Don't know how many.
Despite the fact that you've just spoken to them.
It's classified. That meeting was classified. You're not allowed to know. There you go.
Ah, right. You just can't tell me.
Yeah,
Fine.
that's it. Or myself, apparently. Anyway, we're on a bit of a trend of stuff that is getting brought back when it perhaps shouldn't. Next up, Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in talks to return for new The Mummy movie from Universal. Radio Silence to direct. If you don't know who Radio Silence are, they directed things like Ready or Not, the Samara Weaving wedding dress, She's Being Hunted film. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz were in two Mummy movies, The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. And then there was rumours about a third one, but they never made it, which is great because Rachel Weisz wouldn't have been a part of it, and wouldn't that be stupid to make a third Mummy film without her in it? Imagine if they did that.
Yeah, tombs and dragon emperors and all sorts of weird things.
Yeah, crazy. So we're getting The Mummy 4, even though there's only been two of them. I don't understand where this third one is. So what do you think of this? Do you want a 4th/3rd Mummy movie?
No, and maybe some of these people have payments to make on houses or cars or something else, so there's probably good reasons for these things happening. Is it time? Are we far enough removed now? I know that there is some nostalgia for The Mummy. I think I was probably just aging out of that sort of adventure film type. For some people, this will basically be their Indiana Jones, and I'm not one of them. They're about to get their crystal skull.
Or their Last Crusade.
Or their Last Crusade, yeah. If that somehow worked, this conceit stretched that far, then yes.
It's very weird that The Mummy 2 was set before the first Mummy movie, but no one realised that until decades later.
Are you looking forward to The Mummy 4/3?
No. I can't imagine what else you would really do with it. It would have to be a different mummy somewhere else. such as perhaps China, like they were thinking about doing in the one that they didn't end up making. I think the appeal of those two movies is that Imhotep's a great villain, and you have the chemistry between the two leads, which is excellent, and it has a child in the second one that isn't annoying somehow, or is kind of annoying in an endearing way, in a way that's not, I hate this child, let him die. All the ingredients come together brilliantly, and of course John Hannah in those two films is amazing as well. So they would need to get him back for it as well. But it's another example of the IP minds, isn't it? We have this, let's make it. The Tom Cruise one didn't work. Technically, the Mummy movies are canon to the Tom Cruise movie, because there's a moment where one of the books that reawakens Imhotep is in the Museum of Franchise Potential that Russell Crowe presides over. They're making it anyway. I like Brendan Fraser a lot, and Rachel Weisz as well. And in those movies, they were very good together. So there could be something here. I suppose it entirely depends what the film ends up being.
It's unlikely that they'll return to the lost city of Hamunaptra. I just needed to say that because whenever I hear 500 Miles by the Proclaimers, I invariably end up singing Hamunaptra, and I defy anyone else now not to insert that into the song.
Ruined that song for everybody now.
Thank you, thank you.
Without Imhotep, I don't think it'll necessarily work. Maybe they can get The Rock back.
The Scorpion King.
With his big scorpion body.
Yeah, and his people's eyebrow.
Millennia ago, he was still doing that.
Yeah.
That was his first acting role.
Yeah.
Unless you include wrestling, of which he does a lot of acting.
Really dodgy CG.
I think that the film gets a lot of rap for that. I don't mind it. It's just of its time, and they reached a bit too far with it. There was also a series of Scorpion King films, of which The Rock was in one of them.
Yes, because he appeared in The Mummy and then a spin-off, his own Scorpion King movie.
There was a prequel, yeah. And then there was a bunch of sequels to that The Rock wasn't in.
And were never heard of again.
It was like straight to DVD direct. It was the early 2000s. They might even still be making them. There could be 20 of them by now. This is one of the longest running franchises of all time. They just release one every 6 months. No one watches it.
Exist in the Scream universe.
Yeah, it could do. So we'll see what it ends up being. It would be a stretch to bring Imhotep back because they've killed him twice. Although there was a sequel animated series to The Mummy Returns that did bring Imhotep back. But it's an animated series.
Well, third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm. Which would then decanonize that animated series, which might upset some people. You wouldn't want that, would you?
No, you absolutely would not.
Next up, Josh Hartnett to star in Tommy Wirkola's action thriller All Day and All Night. He will produce it as well. The synopsis reads, when his daughter gets into Harvard, reformed bank robber Billy Davies returns to a life of crime to come up with the tuition money. But when the bank heist goes horribly wrong, he and his crew accidentally stumble onto the set of a failing reality TV show. Now Billy must stay on air long enough to figure out an escape plan from the cops trying to arrest him and the mob trying to kill him, while the producers must keep the show on air long enough to boost their ratings and evade cancellation. That sounds fun.
Yeah, there's some sort of backstage dealing and about boosting ratings, so obviously that appeals to me.
Doesn't say what kind of reality TV show it is, though.
What do you think it would be?
Prison Break one, that'd be funny. I'm picturing something like Big Brother.
That's what I'd go to as well, but then I'm thinking maybe it's a kind of dating show, because you get quite a lot of those.
Something like the Kardashians. There's a family of bank robbers, as opposed to attention thieves like the Kardashians. I know I've upset a bunch of Kardashians fans, but I'm good with that. It sounds like a lot of fun. Did you see Trap? Josh Hartnett's last movie was directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
I did.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was kind of melodramatic, and when you see him leaning into this performance, it's quite fun. Every turn he's thwarted, but quite resourceful as well, just running around the bowels of an arena.
It was very video game, wasn't it? Here's how I get out of this situation. That's what I need to manipulate to do it. It was like playing a Hitman level.
Yeah, imagine being at a concert and then the floor just opens up and you're like, hey, let's go in there.
Yeah. I'm sure no one will notice.
Yeah.
The director did Violent Night, which was the David Harbour is Santa Does Home Alone movie, which was fun. I believe he was one of our Santas in our crossover multiverse Santa movie.
Yes, of course. Who could forget?
Who could forget? Yeah. Next up, we have another video game adaptation, but not a trailer this time. Taylor Sheridan and Peter Berg team on Paramount in Activision's Call of Duty movie. The pick will be destined to thrill its massive global fan base by delivering on the hallmarks of what players love about the games, a series of first-person shooters centered on military campaigns while expanding the franchise to an entirely new audience. Berg and Sheridan will co-write, with Berg on board to direct. Surprising pedigree for something like this. Taylor Sheridan is the king of Paramount, at the moment, in Yellowstone, for example.
Call of Duty. It's the kind of thing where you could make a movie of it and it could have absolutely nothing to do with any of the games. What is going to make it specifically a Call of Duty movie?
Yeah, what's different about it being a war movie?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll just have some of the Modern Warfare plot details, of which I can remember none.
Yeah, possibly. It's just one of these things. I'm sure there's other examples of video game movies like this as well, where it's a genre sort of thing, and it could be anything. You could call it anything. You could get away with it not being based on the game, but they're just sort of cashing in.
But brand recognition?
Yeah.
You should love that in your alter ego.
Yeah, my alter ego does. At the moment, I'm just waiting for the elevator pitch to tell me what's going to get all the Call of Duty fans through the door.
The worrying thing is if Peter Berg is directing it, there's a high chance that Mark Wahlberg will be in it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can imagine that.
Mark Wahlberg is Steve Duty.
Colin Duty.
That's what those games are about, right? It's about a man called Colin Duty who's
Yeah.
soldier or something. The only thing I remember about Modern Warfare is the lead character's name is Soap McTavish.
Yeah, I do remember Soap.
And you go into the Middle East and shoot some people for some reason.
Yeah, that was a thing back then.
In Modern Warfare 2, had you shooting up an airport in the opening minutes, and people did not like that.
No, and of course press F to pay respect.
Yeah, that was way later, wasn't it? I don't know what one that was.
I don't know. I played a lot of Modern Warfare, played a lot of World at War, and a bit of Modern Warfare 2, and then after that kind of fell off.
The last one I bought was Modern Warfare 3, and then I realised that they didn't care about me as a single player anymore and stopped buying them. Although I did end up getting the one that was in space because it was like £10 somewhere. Infinite Warfare, maybe? Something like that.
There might have been one that was free on PlayStation Plus or something that maybe I got. And there was a remaster of Modern Warfare, which I tried just for the nostalgia.
The nostalgia for a game that came out in 2008.
Yeah, played that a lot on Xbox 360.
See, I'm not a multiplayer guy, so these games just aren't for me because the single player is not something they care about.
Yeah, it was kind of dependent on how many of my friends were playing, and fewer of them now play online at the same time as I'm online, so I never play multiplayers really.
Do you think the film will lean into the multiplayer map stuff where someone runs around with knives and throws them into the atmosphere and it somehow kills someone on the other side of the map?
Yeah, or gets a kill streak of 7 and manages to call in an attack helicopter.
Yeah, or no-scoping or whatever. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe someone will teabag someone, because that's what they do, isn't it? If you kill someone, you crouch and then stand up again over their corpse.
If there isn't a teabagging after every kill in this film, then it's inauthentic and doesn't deserve to be representing the Call of Duty brand.
You'll be in the cinema. The first kill happens. There's no teabagging. You'll just leave.
Yep.
Will you make some kind of exclamation on your way out?
I'll just start up the He-Man chant again.
Okay. Well, we'll see what this materialises, but I think it's going to be a fairly generic war movie, but with Call of Duty in the title, and Mark Wahlberg will probably be in it. We'll look forward to that. There's a familiar sound I can hear. It sounds like the TARDIS is coming in for a landing, so we have yet another guest turning up to discuss something. So I'm going to go in this blue box once it materialises, and I'll go and chat to whoever's inside. Maybe it's Isaac. Maybe Isaac has regenerated into someone else. I don't know. I won't know until I get in there. You can just amuse yourself for a few minutes. Perhaps I'll be back in 20 minutes. Perhaps yesterday.
Okay, guess I'll just stand here.
If I turn up yesterday to do some recording, it'll be a bit of a problem though because, well, you won't be here.
Correct.
I'll be in the middle of recording Batman Forever and then I'll just appear and it'll be very confusing.
It'll make syncing the tracks on this quite difficult, I suppose.
It really will, yeah. Because editing's not difficult enough as it is. Anyway, I'm going to go in here and see what Isaac or whoever is in there has to say. He'll still be Isaac, he just will look different. I'll be back.
Have fun.
Isaac, it's good to see that you still have the same face, I was wondering.
I'm still here. I'm surprised I'm still here. I thought this would have flown off into the vortex and disappeared for a while, but hey-ho.
You're still here, but you have a lot less money than you did before.
Yeah, a few less swimming pools, a few less libraries, a few less big green screen things.
It's time to enter the austerity era of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We are talking about the recent announcement that Doctor Who does in fact have a future. We're wondering if the last of the era of Doctor Who was going to be the maybe forgettable spin-off about the Sea Devils, but it's not. We're getting another, at least one episode and a series after that. So they've confirmed a Christmas special next Christmas that Russell T Davies will be writing, and there's no news on whether he's sticking around after that, although my guess is he's probably going to hand the keys over to someone else after this.
Yeah, so I think the press release said, there'll be 2026 Christmas special written by Russell T Davies, and then news of a further series will be announced further down the line, which does kind of sound like he's capping off his era with another Christmas special, because obviously he's got his loose ends that didn't pan out. He'll probably cap a few of those off, and then further on, a presumably new showrunner and new Doctor will be announced in film in the future.
If I had to guess, I would say that this Christmas special that we're getting is going to have Billy Piper and David Tennant all over it.
For those who either don't know or don't remember, at the end of the Reality War, which was the last episode we had of the Disney series, Ncuti Gatwa regenerated into Billy Piper, as yet not announced as a 16th Doctor, just and introducing Billy Piper.
Introducing this person that's been in it a lot.
Yeah. People have said they assume that David Tennant will be back. I'm not as sure that would be the case. The second series, they linger what's coming up. So they did at one point, I think in the final two parts, they hinted at the return of Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, which was but the thread of the Doctor's granddaughter kind of ran through Ncuti's whole era. And then she makes a small appearance in, I think it was one of the two-parters.
I think it was the Eurovision one, where he was having visions of her.
Yeah, it wasn't explained to anyone, so unless you knew who she was, it was just there's an old lady in the TARDIS.
And she definitely filmed more.
Yeah, it's Carol Ann Ford who played Susan in the 60s. So I'm assuming that they'll probably use that. If they were planning a Series 3, which would have featured her as some sort of voice from the past, my guess is that they'll cap off that thread, because I think a lot of people would also like to see that, because the first companion is quite a popular legacy character, so that'd be quite popular.
And the rumour was that, I think it's all but confirmed now, isn't it, that the finale did feature a scene where Susan called Belinda her mother or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was in Doctor Who magazine. I've not read it. It's like half remembered of what people say on Twitter. There was a scene with Belinda or Poppy, Belinda's daughter, and her, with the occasion that's related in some way. But as that's a deleted scene, that may not continue on.
No, but it's clear that something major happened and changed in the makeup of the final episode.
Yeah, the final episode was probably going to end with Ncuti Gatwa going into another series and continuing on, but they had to come up with a new Plan B ending, which is that episode, as we discussed. It's a bit of a hodgepodge.
My prediction for Christmas next year is Billy Piper, David Tennant, Daleks.
It's always a bad thing to say sometimes. They always use the Daleks or the Master or whatever.
Davies can't resist. The fact that he got through 2 seasons without doing it is insane to me.
I'd like to see them again. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, but I want to see a Ncuti Daleks story, and we're just not going to get that now.
Yeah, unfortunately, his Doctor Who didn't meet any of the big three. I think if there were to do another Doctor in this one, a little Ncuti Gatwa cameo would be quite fun. Say that if Rose's face is a transition face, it'd be nice to have a little phase in and out scene where the body's trying to align to whoever's taking the Doctor forward or something. It would be quite nice. And as you said, you didn't get them to meet the Daleks. It'd be quite fun if there was a scene, say a Dalek chase scene where Ncuti shows up for a little bit and he gets to tick off the required box of have to meet these guys. I think just because David Tennant did it so recently as the 14th Doctor, then having him either back as the 14th Doctor or yet another just sort of showing up is a bit too close to the 2023 special, because it's been like 3 years past.
I think Davies will want to complete that thread of he has to finish regenerating or something. It wasn't clear at all. There was this whole idea of the bi-generation. It's like an interim thing and he has to go through all that therapy before he can become Ncuti.
Yeah, I'm going to put a guess on it won't be a David Tennant appearance, but it may be a Ncuti Gatwa appearance. Now, there was a lot of buzz around Paul McGann, very briefly.
What is it now that we can't trust what look like set photos now?
He had to duck out of a convention due to filming commitments. So people were like, well, they've announced this Doctor Who special, and suddenly Paul McGann's not available. But also, as in the world of other TV shows exist, I think he's a regular on Casualty or whatever. We're also talking about another property that Paul McGann stars in a little bit, as he was one of Luther's friends in the TV show Luther, which is getting a new film. He's probably just in something else. I would love it if Paul McGann, the Doctor of the movie who we haven't really seen too much of, just gets to show up for a Christmas special. But I don't think it'd be Paul McGann. I think that'd be an odd thing to do, to be like, here's one of the old ones in the story.
Those set videos or photos that were going around online that may or may not be AI generated.
Yeah, there is a few.
They won't be shooting it yet. It's probably not even written yet.
I don't think so. We're in this odd, I'm not sure if you talked about it with Angus. Anyone online also, we just get an occasional, here's a new Avengers Doomsday character, and everyone's like, this might be AI or it might be real and we don't know. And I think social media pop culture news is going to be a lot of, here's some either AI generated or behind the scenes photos, and we'll not know until the actual movie or show comes out which is true or which isn't.
Yeah. It's like the inverse of the Spider-Man No Way Home marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that because of Spider-Man Nowhere Home, where everyone was like, we all think this is going to happen. And they're like, no, and it did.
And there was all those leaks that were actual leaks, and people were analysing the photos and being like, this is Photoshop. Look at the lighting.
And Andrew Garfield had to lie for so long, and they're like, well, now we don't trust anyone.
Charlie Cox's legs under the table don't line up with his torso or whatever. There's no way this is real.
Yeah, there's all this sort of thing, and Lizard gets kicked in the face, whatever. So it's going to be a lot of this forever in Star Wars and Marvel and everything. So things we do know, Russell Davies writing a Christmas special for Christmas of 2026, most likely going to have Billy Piper in it. It'd be weird if it didn't, because that's the cliffhanger, and then presumably others. And personally, I would quite like to see a couple of Daleks, because I am a simpleton. They're just fun to have. It's been ages.
It's going to be like a end of time style piece of nonsense, isn't it? It's just going to be a big bombastic, making no sense type finale.
It depends how much money they have. It might be an intimate TARDIS set. They haven't destroyed the TARDIS set yet, so we'll just film the whole thing in here.
The BBC usually give them some money when they do a Christmas special.
Usually.
We discussed it though. The loss of the Disney budget isn't going to be too crippling for the show, because other than some specific moments, I don't think it looked all that.
It looked about the same, yeah.
You had some really good CGI stuff, and they had giant dogs in every finale, and there were some external shots that were more ostentatious because they had Disney money, and there was things like building a quarry or whatever.
Yeah, this is a real tangent. I remember we talked with Darren Mooney about that they used some of the Disney budget to build a quarry. And I was like, that's stupid. I know he was sort of into it, and I was like, that felt so wasteful. It's like, oh, usually we just go film in a quarry, but now we can build a quarry in the volume. People are starving. Like, what are you doing? And just go to a quarry and normally don't spend all your money building a dusty rock thing.
Make sure you CGI out all the starving homeless people in the background.
We're not going to know. One of my favourite visually impressive scenes of the Ncuti Gatwa era is in the Eurovision one, where the gravity shield fails, and it's just scores of people floating into the abyss, like a nuclear explosion, but just of people floating into nothing. That's an insane visual. No one's going to notice if this rock's not real. We actually CGI'd it in. And they'd say it as a joke in an interview on the One Show or whatever. It's a total waste of money. If you had Disney money and you decided just to throw it away, generating rocks and dust in what looked like a play, maybe you don't deserve to have extra millions. We're going to teach you a lesson. You get 100 grand an episode. You got to figure it out again.
Disney not renewing the contract after the commitment is up tells us what we already thought, that it's not the runaway success they wanted it to be, and they're out. They're not interested in continuing with this.
I think a few people have said this isn't the most unusual thing. It tends to happen with Disney or Netflix. 2 series, and it's like, we're going to cancel it actually. It's not doing the numbers we want, or it's costing too much. Or...
I guess the time for Disney to invest in it was when it was in its heyday, the Tennant, Matt Smith eras.
Yeah, around the 50th, that would be a prime point, but obviously a lot's changed in that time. I think I am happy about this. It's going to sound mean. It's not confirmed yet. Russell Davies could be carrying on. I kind of hope he doesn't also. I think it'd be much more exciting if it was a full, fresh go-around.
Yeah, I think it could do with a fresh injection of talent and distance itself from previous eras and things. We discussed it with Darren as well, this notion of Doctor Who is a very unique show that's very difficult to run. And really, in terms of keeping the show going, there's only 3 people that have been equipped to do it, and they've already done it and they won't do it again. I'm not talking about the quality of the writing or anything. I'm talking about just keeping the show running. And Christopher Eccleston would not agree with me in terms of it being run well or anything like that. But certainly they were learning as they went, and they must have got better over time, because I'm guessing Russell T Davies didn't really know what he was doing, and that caused a lot of problems for Eccleston in the first series, and they maybe got better later on and so on. But the question is, who would take it over at this point? I don't know who the big movers and shakers at the BBC in terms of drama are at the moment, and in terms of the pedigree that might be required to run a show like this. I don't know who it would be, but it would have to be someone committed like Davies or Moffat or even Chibnall. Someone that's really committed to making a go of this.
I don't know anything about BBC or TV selections work. As you mentioned, the Unit spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is out in December up to New Year, I think. That show run by Pete McTeague, who wrote a couple of Chibnall and a couple of Ncuti Gatwa episodes.
Yeah, we don't want him though, do we?
We don't want him because his episodes haven't been very good, but I do wonder if they'll be like, let's see how this does. He's ran a 5-part series, so They could give it a Flux style 6 episodes a year sort of thing. I'm wondering if they're going like, okay, let's see the reactions to this. Let's see how it's perceived both by fans and the overall public. And if he would be keen, he would probably be the best bet to give the show to. If he's in with that and if he can run the unit spin-off, that could be. But there might be a few other people. There'll be people who've shown Line of Duty and Casualty and whatever. He might also source it. Again, I don't really know much about how any of this works. I don't follow enough of certain writers and things to know, oh, I've got the pick I'd want.
I wonder if Bad Wolf will be sticking around as a production part of it.
They are producing something. Rusty Davis is doing a show with Alan Cumming and someone. It's probably about an old gay couple or something, because that's what he always does. He joked about this before. He's like, I'm going to write something about a gay man and doing this. That's my one thing.
It's whether they'll continue to be involved in Doctor Who in some kind of production capacity, which would mean that Davies isn't directly involved, but it would just have the Bad Wolf label on it.
Yeah, it could have still with the Bad Wolf as a production company. Again, I don't know much about how it works with production companies. I know BBC don't make too much in-house stuff.
No, and it's getting harder for them because there's just no money.
Yeah, there's no money, especially if they had to give it all to Nazis.
Yeah.
My guess is, based on nothing, I think they're going to wait and see how the War Between performs, and I'm assuming they planned ahead. They've probably had chats with him. We are looking to continue the Doctor Who franchise. Would that be something you'll be interested in taking up? He probably would.
They'll confirm what's happening with the next series during the year, I would think.
Probably, yeah, say next summer or so, maybe a little later. I was saying it might be nice to have a rest for Doctor Who, but also, there's nothing on telly. I'll watch it. I won't be like, I'm refusing to watch it.
Well, there's plenty. There's not a lot of good stuff.
There's not a lot of good stuff.
But it's also having a break. That's, 2 years it'll end up having.
2 years, yeah.
Which is usually the gap between any seasons of anything, I suppose.
It is usually the gap between any seasons, yeah. I know a few people are saying it's like to go back to the classic. After the Colin Baker series didn't do very well, they had like an 18-month hiatus where they just didn't announce anything. It was like, oh yeah, it's coming back, don't worry, it's back. And then it did 3 years of Test of McCoy, like, it's not back, get rid of it. So I wonder if it's history repeating itself. So it's had little gaps before, but
2 years is pretty much the gap for streaming shows, isn't it?
2 years is really the normal gap. It sounds mean to say I don't really want Rusty Davis back, but I'm personally like, nah. He's had a go and I'd like to see a fresher one.
I did love some of the mid-season episodes he did in the new run, but the finales are just...
Stephen Moffat was amazing, but he's had a go. I don't really want to see another Stephen Moffat run or a Chibnall run. I'd rather see a new one. I think this is a bit more fun.
Yeah, we need a better variety of writers as well.
Exactly, yeah. So there's stuff to look forward to, and obviously we don't know much, but it'll be more fun to speculate around this time next year when a Doctor will have been cast, most likely, because they'll presumably appear in Christmas, and we'll have trailers and more AI leaks to talk about, and all sorts.
And you'll vanish into the vortex after we chat here and then appear when the next bit of news comes out.
Exactly, it won't be very long for me, but it'll take ages for you. Another cup of tea and then I'll rock back up.
Yeah, I'm going the long way around, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Before you go, we're going to discuss this other thing. This new Luther movie that is going to be done at Netflix. Idris Elba is returning, because you wouldn't have Luther without him.
Idris Elba is returning. We have a couple of returning characters.
Ruth Wilson, whoever she is.
Ruth Wilson. Alice Morgan was her character name. She was the main... I don't know if villain's the right term. Started off as a villain and then became a confidant, and then they had a relationship, and then it's sort of will they, won't they. She's never played by the rules, and she usually does loads of mass murders, but she's sort of useful in a way. It's kind of like a Batman Catwoman situation. So she's returning, even though I'm pretty sure she died. But I think in the end of it was series 5, the last TV one, she fell to her death. But anyone can survive a fall with, a few writing tricks. This is Netflix's second Luther film.
Yes, so there was 2023's Luther, The Fallen Sun. That was a Netflix movie.
I really enjoyed The Fallen Sun. It had a very creepy Andy Serkis in it as a sort of leverage dealer. A lot of people weren't that fussed by it, but I thought it was up to the standard of what Luther was as a show. We also get a returning character called Martin Schenk, the police chief of Luther. Is a regular character, so it's not unusual for him to be confirmed because he's always in there. Someone's got to tell Luther got to play by the book, and then he has to not play by the book.
You're a loose cannon, Luther. Stop it.
Exactly. That's what Schenk's there to do. I'm very excited about this. I think it sounds really fun.
The news story sees a wave of brutal, seemingly random murders hit London, with Luther secretly called back into service. But the dramatic question is, how can Luther save London when everyone on all sides seems to want him dead?
Just as a spoiler for Luther as a show, that's every story in every series. A random series of unconnected murders hits London, and Luther, even though he's a wanted man and he's got troubles on his own end and has to go rogue for a bit, as a description goes, this could be any of the Luthers. Again, more to find out in due course.
It's interesting that it's transitioned from series to the odd movie.
I think that's a mix of Idris Elba wanted to do a movie initially. He was like, this should be a movie because that's where he gets more money. And it's a bit more fun. He can have like explosions and stuff.
So he'll be gearing up to be the next Doctor, won't he?
I think it's just his little passion project. There was big gaps. I think the first 2 or 3 series were fairly regular. Then Series 4 and Series 5 and The Fallen Sun were kind of reboots after a couple of years. Here's a special short series, and then here's the Netflix movie, and now here's the Netflix movie. Obviously, Idris Elba's become quite a bit of a star since the first series.
Oh yeah, he's a busy man.
But it's his thing. He's always going to come back for doing another Luther, because I think he just loves doing it.
Do you know this year alone he played both the British Prime Minister and the President of the United States in different projects?
Oh, he was in John Cena's The President.
Heads of State, and then he was in House of Dynamite. That's where he was the president.
Should have got John Cena back as a British PM. We're like a buddy cop swap.
John Cena as the president. I've not seen it, but it's a crazy idea. This will be good for Luther fans. I've never seen Luther. I've meant to watch it, but I just never have.
It's pretty grim.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's why I haven't watched it.
That's why I haven't watched it. Yeah, it's a grisly murder sort of show.
It shoots in February, so that probably means it will be on by the end of the year.
Yeah, probably this time next year. Could have a Luther Doctor Who double bill. Paul McGann in both shows.
The Luther Christmas special.
It's got his same Doctor Who costume on, but in London he just puts a cagoule over it or whatever. Being like, I can see the velvet jacket sticking out of this hoodie that he's wearing. Is this supposed to be a sad dad or whatever?
They could do a Luther Sherlock Doctor Who crossover, couldn't they?
Yeah, there was Super Who-lock back in our day of Tumblr, but now it could be a Super Who-Luther-lock.
Where did the super come from?
Supernatural? I remember it was like, they should do a Supernatural Doctor Who. Then they should do a Supernatural Doctor Who Sherlock. And now they can do a Supernatural Doctor Who Sherlock Luther in Super Who-Luther-lock.
Yeah, well, Supernatural could do anything. They crossed over with Scooby-Doo, so anything's possible.
Yeah, if that show's still on. And if Tumblr still exists, which it probably is.
Supernatural ended a few years ago. It's over. 15 years.
And Sherlock's never coming back as well.
Nah, that's another thing the BBC could never afford to make now.
They never afford to make it.
You could not afford to hire Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman.
When they're both 70, they'll probably do one. And it'll just be them sitting in chairs and be like, remember when we used to go into mind palaces or whatever? And they'll be like, oh, kinda, yeah.
It's going to be like the Mr. Holmes movie that Ian McKellen did.
Yeah, they'll do the Mr. Holmes movie. He's a beekeeper and Stephen Moffat's son can write it or whatever.
But he crosses over with the beekeeper played by Jason Statham.
Yeah, and Jason Statham's also 70, but he still wants to be an action star.
Well, works for Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah, last time I was on one of these, I thought an okay actor was a really bad actor, because I mixed up Sylvester Stallone and that one everyone hates, whose name I can't remember. The really bad actor who loves Trump and Ice and whatever.
It doesn't narrow it down.
Steven Seagal? Is he awful?
I'm not sure. I can't keep track.
I remember feeling bad after it. You're like, we got news about Stallone. I was like, oh, I hope he's dead. You're like, no.
Well, Stallone might be a Trump supporter. I have no idea. He is a Republican, I think. I don't know.
He is a Republican. They're all Republicans.
So is Arnie, but he's a good Republican, I guess. Or as good as they get.
As long as they're not nice. As long as they're not Dean Cain. That's fine. Better than Dean Cain is a low bar you have to pass to be like, oh, they're probably fine.
Imagine being the most disappointing Superman.
Worse in every sense, on and off camera.
A man that pays no attention to the character he played for 5 years. Your character wouldn't do this. Crazy.
Slower than a non-moving bullet. Can't jump higher than even the smallest of bricks in a building.
They stopped him appearing in Supergirl because his political beliefs were upsetting people on set, so they stopped letting him guest star. And then killed him off screen.
That's pretty funny.
There's a fact about that Supergirl TV show.
That's like when Captain Jack Harkness had to leave Revolution of the Daleks by a phone call because everyone hated work with him so much that they refused to work with him on set. So he had to say goodbye over a phone. One
thing that's worth listening to, he was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, Inside of You, and he talked a lot about how people reacted to him and what he's learned and so on. It was a very interesting interview. I would recommend listening to it. I'm not saying that...
Yeah, you're not saying you agree with him. It's just interesting.
Well, it was just interesting hearing his perspective. And the thing is, if we're not willing to listen to people's side of the story, then what are we? What are we becoming if we're just dismissing people outright?
Yeah, you got to hear people out. It doesn't mean you agree with them. You can disagree with someone and also hear their point of view.
Yeah, you can listen to that interview and then you can make up your own mind about what he says.
Yeah.
2 British institutions, I suppose, Doctor Who and Luther returning in 2026.
Yeah, 2 things I know about coming back, which is always handy for me.
2 things you know about, so there you go. You'll have 2 things to watch in 2026.
I've got 2 things to watch in 2026.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah, there's also that Sea Devil show coming out.
Yes, that's in 2025 though.
Yeah, it's in 2025, but if you need to fill your boots with some Doctor Who stuff, there is a unit spin-off coming out between December and New Year, I think, but I've not looked into it too much.
It's on the first weekend in December.
Okay, yeah.
The first 2 episodes and then it's weekly after that. So I think it'll make it to the new year.
It'll probably stop before Christmas, I guess.
But it's on soon. Almost by the time you're listening to this, actually.
Yeah, well, by the time you listen to this, it's almost out.
It's this weekend as you're listening. Yeah.
If you need some more Hooniverse kick, then Unit are up to no good or something for like 5 weeks.
But don't expect the Doctor, because he'll be too busy for this global catastrophe.
Don't expect the Doctor. Don't not expect the Master. The Master might show up because the Master tends to show up. But if I'm adding another prediction in for this War Between, the Master might turn up for a bit. But that's unrelated. It's probably not going to be true. Just because he tends to team up with the Sea Devils sometimes. They seem to be buddies. If they're doing that story again, you might just have the Master in it.
Fair enough. Well, I will let you get back to your time travelling.
No worries. I'll set the kettle on and I'll zoom forward a few months until next time.
Till the next bit of news.
Exactly.
See if you've regenerated by then.
I hope not. I like this face. I like being me. It's nice. I might trip over and spill hot tea on my face. Then have to...
Be forced. Yeah, be something stupid like that.
Or you might make another friend who has more insight about Doctor Who than I do. I regenerate off screen.
With the Kneel Before blog Christmas dues, we've had alternate Andrew's there or you're there. So there are theories that you are in fact the same person.
Oh yeah, no one knows if we're the same person.
But this year I think you're both attending.
Yeah, but he'll put his coat away and I'll turn up. We're like, oh, what are we having? I was like, oh, I was going to go check the dessert menu. Then he'll come back. We're going to have one of those Frasier style moving away from the table back and forward throughout the whole thing.
Or Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire or every other slight miscommunication thing.
Or you could have just bi-generated.
Or we could have bi-generated.
Yes, thank you for your drive-by or your dematerialised by.
My flyby, yeah.
I will return to Angus and we will discuss the rest of this stuff that's in front of us.
Hi to Angus.
Yes, I may or may not have said hi to him because time travel.
Oh, yeah.
He will know that you said hi in spirit if I don't relay that information.
He'll know.
Enjoy.
Bye.
And I'm back. The TARDIS is on its way back into time and space to make an appearance during some other future podcast or some past podcast. Who knows? But he's gone. And Isaac still looks like Isaac, you'll be glad to know.
Yeah, good to hear.
So at the Christmas night out, you won't have to be confused.
I'll still know who I'm talking to. Felt probably like about 3 hours and 45 minutes out here.
Oh, God. Hopefully what you've just listened to didn't feel like 3 hours and 45 minutes. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Pete Davidson and Ella Purnell to star in romantic comedy That Time We Met. Ella Purnell again. That Time We Met follows a new couple that discovers their unborn child is destined to save the future of humanity. The only problem is they've just had their first date and now they hate each other. Nicely grouped with a time travel chat.
Yeah, see what you did.
So what do you think of this concept? It sounds like a great one-liner, doesn't it, for a premise?
Yes, knowing that you've got to get together, but you can't stand the person that you're destined to be with. I guess that is the elevator pitch.
Yeah, and it's the premise of any rom-com, really, isn't it? They meet, they don't get along. Over the course of the movie, they get along better, and eventually they end up together.
Yeah, nailed it.
But this is that, but they're aware they're in a rom-com where that needs to happen. So there's an interesting, almost meta approach to it.
Yeah, I suppose there's some fun you could have with that.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of Pete Davidson, though.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him, but I gather that he's not popular in some circles.
Yeah, for different reasons. I just find him kind of off-putting. I do like Ella Purnell, though. Does it feel like we're getting back into this studio rom-com with actors era, actually? It feels like they're trying to bring it back.
We've talked about a few tonight, so yeah, maybe I was wrong to think that they were a thing of the past.
Maybe. See this? It should be fun. And if it isn't, I'll be annoyed.
And then time travel back to a time before you saw it.
But I'll just be in the past and I'll have still seen it. So maybe I should just drink and forget. That might be more efficient.
Need to work out the rules for that.
I'll go back in time and shoot myself before I go to see it, and then that'll be the end of that.
Don't worry, we've worked out all the paradoxes and loops and timelines and everything, so don't write in.
I didn't say I would kill myself, just shoot myself in the arm or something like that. But then I just can't go because I've been shot in the arm.
You never gone to the cinema with a bullet lodged in your arm before?
No, maybe that would be my first time. I would create a new timeline where I still see the film, but I'm in blinding pain. Time travel's a wonderful thing. Next up, we have another reimagining, reboot, re-thingy. Bewitched reimagining in works at Fox from Judalina Neera and Doug Robinson, who have re-upped Sony TV overall deals. Judalina Neera did The Boys, Daisy Joan at 6. The Bewitched reboot was the first project Neera took on in her famous Last Words Productions. In the new Bewitched, whose tone is described as heartfelt, though they come from two wildly different worlds, he's a human, she's a witch. For Samantha and Darren, it's love at first sight. But in order to be together, they'll have to navigate their disapproving parents, walk a tightrope of cultural clashes, and bridge the divides between their families and worlds. Did you ever watch Bewitched?
I did. There was a time where Natalie was so into it. This was a time where we had Sky TV, and it was, I'm sure you could probably still do this, when you could set your Skybox to record every episode of a series. Basically, the entire memory of our Skybox was filled up with episodes of Bewitched, and she made a pretty good stab of watching all of them. I remember watching it more when it was broadcast on TV. It might have been on Channel 4 when we were younger.
I used to only ever see it when I was off sick from school.
Yeah, it does have a bit of that kind of feeling, doesn't it? It was on during the day. It was old.
For us, it was prime time stuff for a generation before, I guess.
Yeah, so it's got a kind of kitsch value to me like that, but I can't say that I was clamouring for a reimagining or a remake. They did one a couple of decades ago, didn't they?
There was the Nicole Kidman movie.
Yeah.
And there was the first episode of WandaVision.
Yes.
Which is basically Bewitched. I guess it's time to dredge that well. Will it have an audience? Will it be interesting? I don't know. It depends what they do with it. They could make it more dark. They could lean into its sitcom roots. I guess an interesting story about family and so on. You could modernise it by having it be a more modern family setup rather than the approach that was in the original. I don't remember too much about it. I just remember watching it, like I say, if I was off sick from school or something like that. But in terms of my witch sitcoms, I was more into Sabrina.
As far as I remember, it was the sort of thing where Darren always had to impress his boss at work, or he always had some problem at work, and then Samantha would sort it for him.
And then the mother-in-law visits every episode.
Yeah, she was always there. People would be coming around for dinner and comedy of errors type stuff.
Yeah. I remember the great Family Guy joke where Darren throws water over the mother-in-law and she starts melting. Maybe do that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane already nailed it. That's how you update it. He just kills the mother-in-law. Anyway, we'll see. There's very little on it. It's just that they're bringing it back. Depends on the approach. I don't know whether I'd like to see a more modern dramatic take or whether I want to see an old school sitcom thing. Do we want these laugh track sitcoms back? Maybe. And by back, I don't mean let's do Frasier again. I mean do a new one.
Yeah, the Nicole Kidman one was set in the same era as the original show, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I think it probably was. I'm probably more interested in a period piece, but then that's already been done and it already exists. As I say, I would be less interested in a modern retelling, but that's where there's more scope for originality. So it's one or the other, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's look at what Nicolas Cage is up to. Nicolas Cage is going to reunite with John Woo for Gambino, which is a mafia boss biopic. Woo will direct from a script written by Bad Boys scribe George Gallo and Oscar-winning Green Book writer-producer Nick Vallelonga. The title follows Cage's Carlo Gambino, a butcher's son from Sicily who ruled New York's underworld with quiet authority. But when his death sends shockwaves through the city, Pulitzer-winning journalist Jimmy Breslin follows the trail he left behind to uncover the man behind the legend. As the synopsis reads, through the voices of those who loved him and those who feared him, Breslin peels back the composure that masked Gambino's ruthlessness, revealing how this outsider rose to redefine power, loyalty, and the American dream. So we're going to get Nick Cage with an Italian accent.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by anything or any performance now that he pulls out.
Yeah. What this suggests to me is you're going to get different takes on the character depending on the perspective of the story being told.
You think?
I hope it's that, because I'd quite like to see him change as the scenes progress depending on who remembers him. So you could have him be a more friendly, jovial figure because he's talking to a friend, or terrifying figure because he's talking to someone that he threatened.
Yeah, and that would give Nicolas Cage the scope to play that he likes.
Yeah. So now that I've made that premise, I'm really into this. It has to be that, right?
Yeah. It's the only sensible way to go.
Through the voices of those who loved him and those who feared him, it says that Carlo Gambino is already dead, so it seems like it's going to be people's perspective of him rather than the man himself.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be that.
Reminiscences of Carlo Gambino.
Yeah. And John Woo doing it? They're not reuniting for another face-off, which is slightly disappointing, but they're doing this. Maybe it will lead to another face-off.
Can you imagine?
I'm actually surprised we haven't had like 10 face-off movies, which are basically two huge actors of the moment swapping faces.
Yeah, exactly. Or just kind of reboot it every however long once you get dueling stars.
Timothée Chalamet and Tom Holland.
Oh.
They swap faces and nobody notices. Chris Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth has to play the part of the less successful brother for a while, and he doesn't like it.
You could be onto something there.
Basically Freaky Friday, isn't it, that idea?
Yeah.
There's less burning doves or flying speedboats in that kind of premise. I don't even know who the biggest stars of the moment would be that you would swap faces, really. Mahershala Ali and Michael B. Jordan, maybe?
Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, Sinners style, just playing two characters.
Swapping faces with your twin brother doesn't really work, though, does it?
No, it doesn't really live up to the concept.
Well, we can think about it. We could just do all the Hollywood Chrissies. They all swap faces. Hemsworth, Pratt, Pine, the other one.
Chris to Chris.
That's what we'd call it, Chris to Chris. Anyway, Nick Cage in potentially different interpretations of a guy, depending on who's telling the story. I'm into it. Nick Cage, I'm always going to be into it.
Yeah.
Next up, we have our first look at the Legend of Zelda movie. It's not too much. It's 2 people in elf cosplay sitting in a field. Pretty good elf cosplay, I would say.
And that's it.
Yeah. What do you think of the picture?
Pretty good elf cosplay, I guess. I don't know why I'm pausing for so long. I played this early console Zelda games, and I've missed out on all of the good stuff. I've heard so many good things about all the later games from basically N64 on. And so, yeah, it's just a funny one because it's a tentpole game for Nintendo, and it's a bit of a blind spot for me.
I've played Ocarina of Time on the N64 and Twilight Princess on the GameCube, and I haven't played one since. I do want to play Breath of the Wild, but it never comes down in price. Because first-party Nintendo games never come down in price. You have to just commit to paying 70 quid or you're just never going to play it. This Legends of Zelda movie is directed by Wes Ball. He did the most recent Planet of the Apes movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
It's very good. And he directed The Maze Runner, which is alright, as far as I remember. Kat really likes those movies, or at least the first one. I don't really remember it. Bo Bragason, she plays Zelda, and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth will be playing Link. And this looks like it's more of a active Zelda story, so she will be more active in the plot. It's similar to Princess Peach in the Mario movie, for example. Rather than being kidnapped and missing for most of the film, she will probably be on the adventure with Link and perhaps act as something of a mentor figure who leads him on his journey. In terms of what game it's drawing inspiration from, they haven't said. A lot of people have assumed Ocarina of Time because it's the iconic one, but also that's my generation Zelda, not the current generation Zeldas. I imagine if you go up to a modern gamer and say, Ocarina of Time, they'll be like, shut up. And they'll refer to Breath of the Wild. So if I was to guess, I think it'd be more inspired by that than the classic stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, they've got lots to draw upon. And I agree that it's probably good not to have a damsel in distress, but to have a more active character with agency.
Yeah, and yeah, the elf cosplay looks good. They look young. I've seen Bo Bragason in something. She was in a vampire movie called The Radleys that I saw at the Edinburgh Film Festival, I think it was last year, which was all right. She's pretty good. I've never seen the other guy in anything, so who knows. He's the voice of Pinocchio in the Robert Zemeckis one, so I guess we can't hold that against him. And he was in The Haunting of Bly Manor. He's also in the Canadian comedy series Son of a Critch, and he appeared in one episode of The Sandman. So he's worked in the past. Good for him.
It's good for him.
Moving on to our final news item now. We have a new adaptation of Archie comics. This one called Afterlife with Archie. It's a TV series based on comic and works at Disney Plus from Roberto Aguirre Sacasa and Berlanti Productions. Based on the Archie comics Afterlife with Archie, reimagining the beloved town of Riverdale as an apocalyptic nightmare-fueled hellscape overrun with flesh-eating zombies. You might think that sounds insane, but actually the Riverdale TV show was one more season away from doing that.
I know nothing about Archie or Riverdale. I hear it referenced a lot. I just know nothing about it. It's a complete blank for me.
Betty and Veronica, Jughead, Archie. Yeah. I've watched all the way through Riverdale, and it's one of the most insane and delightful things I've ever seen. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do like the actors that are involved in it as well. This is another different take, but like I say, the Riverdale TV show was no stranger to doing something insane. So this is going to be Riverdale, but it's a zombie apocalypse.
And does it carry on from that, or is it a completely fresh revamp?
No, it's zombies, actually, not revamp.
Got you.
I don't think it's going to follow on from the Riverdale series, which had a fairly definitive ending. Or a very definitive ending. So this will be just a new thing. As I understand it, Afterlife with Archie is a comic series splintered off from the main continuity, if there is such a thing, of Archie comics, where it's just, let's put the Archie characters in this bizarre situation and play around with it.
Understood. So
it seems like we're not through with going nuts with Archie comics characters, and I'm all for it. They should just get the cast of Riverdale back to do it, why not? I'm guessing because they want to move on with their careers and forget about it. That would be why not.
Maybe had enough of it by now, yeah. Give it to someone else.
But there is a monetary figure.
Well, now you've got my interest.
Well, no, this is giving away money rather than making money.
Not interested in that one bit.
But it's a speculation to accumulation principle.
Yeah, again, we're all about short-term gains here.
Yeah, plus Camila Mendes, who was Veronica in Riverdale, might be setting herself up for a lucrative He-Man franchise.
He-Man.
Although she plays Evil Lynn, so she might die.
Nah, no one ever really dies in He-Man.
Yeah, but this is a movie, though, where people can die.
We'll see about that.
So will you watch an Archie show set in a zombie apocalypse?
I've avoided Archie up until this point, and I plan to continue to do so.
You should just sit and watch all the way through Riverdale and bask in the insanity.
How much of it is there?
7 seasons.
Oh, that's a commitment.
Yeah, but you might get 3 seasons there and be like, I get it. It gets more insane as it goes on. There's time travel and there's a season where they all get superpowers. It's all stuff that really happens. It's fantastic.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, that's everything. That is us. That was November 2025's news and trailers. I would like to thank Neil Stenson for the supplied music. If you like what you heard, please do subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. It'll be in your feed. You can subscribe. Most of these places have a rating and review system built right into the framework as well. So, Angus, how many stars should they give us?
The same number as there will be Toy Story movies. 5.
Thousands.
As many as it can go up to. Whatever the highest number is. 5, 10, some might be 100, but usually 5.
And do leave us a comment as well. If you want to discuss anything that we discussed here, or anything really, you can reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Blue Sky under Neil Before Blog. You can also leave us a comment under neilbeforeblog.co.uk. You can also join us on our Discord server, where we have an engaged community of multiple listeners. For more news podcasts like this, deep dive analytical chats about your favourite nerdy things, the odd interview, you can continue to catch us on Neil Before Pod.